Chapter 724. But there are rumors online that the reason Tongning's film was vetted and the reason she was silently banned by the industry was because your grandfather used his connections behind the scenes. The reporters did not hesitate to dig a hole for Song Xian. At this time, Song Xian was angry, so it was easy for her to say and do the wrong thing. If my grandfather was that capable, would I still be bullied by Hai Rui? Song Xian responded from the side with a disdainful tone. In that case, is the Duan Jinghong that stole from us really the same Duan Jinghong from AOB? The reporter asked. Just look at the photos and you will know. She went to Mo Ting's office and was bitten by a dog. Afterwards, I don't know what methods she used to get plastic surgery to debut. Although the incident happened 2 months ago, how could I casually reveal a scandal like this? On top of that, she was even my ex-manager. How shameless. Can you explain in more detail about today's car accident? The public had seen and heard enough about who was right and who was wrong in the entertainment industry. Everyone was like a victim, but when they were finally exposed, they always had an ugly expression on their faces. Hai Rui didn't have much to explain. Song Xian's accusations were too cliché. But there was one incident that gave the public a new perspective on Hai Rui, Duan Jinghong. If Duan Jinghong was really the Duan Jinghong that stole from us a few months ago, then Hai Rui's actions didn't make sense. If a burglar could become a famous celebrity, what kind of image did Hai Rui have to create for the public? In reality, Hai Rui had already dealt with the situation a long time ago. Since Mo Ting wanted Duan Jinghong to debut, he of course made thorough preparations. There were no photos online of Duan Jinghong being bitten by a thief. Plus, her aura had changed drastically. As long as Hai Rui's PR said they were two different people, no one would be able to refute them. After seeing the news, Tongning immediately gave Duan Jinghong a phone call. Don't worry. Continue on your path. No one will recognize you. Although Duan Jinghong knew how powerful Hai Rui was, whenever she heard the word thief, she would feel nervous. After all, she was Duan Jinghong. She was the Duan Jinghong that was bitten by a dog because she entered Mo Ting's office. Previously, she was hoping that if she didn't expose Song Xian wouldn't go around spouting nonsense. But in reality, someone like Song Xian, he didn't mean to do it. Song Xian was certain that she did not have any evidence. Tongning. Just as Tongning was about to hang up the phone, Duan Jinghong suddenly stopped her. Actually, I think it's enough. What? I've already tasted what it feels like to shine, but there are some things that I can't avoid. Now, I believe what you said. What I owe and what I've done will eventually be paid back in another way. So, I don't want to avoid it anymore. Duan Jinghong gathered up her courage and said, President Mo, please don't do any PR for now. Although I know that after Hai Rui's PR, I will have a bright future ahead of me, but I am not a person. Tongning, I'm sorry. I'm deeply sorry for what I've done to you and what I've done to your friends. I don't know how to make up for my sins. The only way is to prove your innocence. On the other side of the phone, Tongning remained silent for quite some time before she finally asked Duan Jinghong, Have you made up your mind? My mind has never been this clear before. Duan Jinghong smiled. After stepping out, I may not be able to recover, but I feel that my life will be more stable. Thank you, Tongning. Tongning did not stop Duan Jinghong. To be exact, although Duan Jinghong was about to lose everything, she would be able to regain her freedom. What are you planning to do? I'm going to give Song Xian a head-on blow. Duan Jinghong smiled. I don't have any other requests. I simply hope that if anything happens to me, you can take care of my parents. They are simple people and not as greedy as I am. Don't worry. Hearing this, Duan Jinghong smiled and said goodbye to Tongning. Tongning had once promised her that even if she exposed Song Xian, she wouldn't be blamed. At that time, she thought it was a temptation. But now she simply wanted to be blamed. That way she wouldn't feel so guilty. Tongning could definitely keep her promise, but she didn't need it anymore. Hai Rui has been very quiet this time. Why hasn't they done any PR? I've looked through a lot of photos of Duan Jinghong. Some of the blurry silhouettes don't match what Song Xian said. Song Xian didn't explain the car accident clearly, so I'm not sure who's at fault. Ting, hurry up and do some PR. We can't support a thief as an artist. Right now, Song Xian is the only one making a ruckus online. Hai Rui hasn't responded to her at all. I wonder what the truth is. I have a feeling that there's a big secret behind all this. I agree. +1. Hai Rui did not do any PR, but news of Song Xian's ruckus spread throughout the streets. Entertainment news was like this. It came fast and furious and everyone enjoyed talking about it. But when the next piece of news came out, they would quickly forget who made the headlines the day before. Elder Song and the driver's surgeries ended after 5 to 6 hours. As Elder Song was quite old, he was still unconscious, but the driver woke up first. Song Xian sat by the driver's bed. As soon as he opened his eyes, she immediately approached him and asked, Uncle Chun, are you okay? Mississippi. Do you remember how the car accident happened? Song Xian asked as soon as Uncle Chun regained consciousness. I remember, it was Mississippi. No, it wasn't me. It has nothing to do with me. After speaking, Song Xian leaned over and warned Uncle Chun, if you dare tell the public that the car accident happened because of my interference, then you better watch out for your family's safety. Uncle Chun's eyes grew big, and he did not say another word. Song Xian thought that Uncle Chun had obediently accepted her threat, so she did not say another word. She simply said, Uncle Chun, get some rest. I'm going to go check on grandfather first. Uncle Chun glared at Song Xian. His heart was filled with frustration. But just as the words were about to leave his mouth, he swallowed them back down. He had been a dutiful person his entire life. Who would have thought, with a single car accident, he would be threatened? This was obviously Song Xian's responsibility. Uncle Chun knew what was going on, so he did not say a word. He knew that there were some words that only had value when spoken to people of authority. Song Xian would never have guessed that this time, she had dug her own grave. If she hadn't yelled at Hai Rui out of impulse, she may not have provoked Duan Jinghong. She only dared to act arrogantly in front of the media, but Duan Jinghong went straight to the police station and turned herself in. Chapter 725. While Song Xian was yelling at Hai Rui, Duan Jinghong personally arrived at the police station and told them that she wanted to file a report. The police asked Duan Jinghong what case she wanted to report. Duan Jinghong bravely replied, I want to turn myself in. The police immediately launched an investigation into Duan Jinghong. So, Duan Jinghong spent the entire morning explaining how she planned to injure Hu Jingjing's leg, and how she instigated Hua Wenfeng to hurt Tongning. Miss, if everything you've said is true, then the person you want to accuse will not be held responsible. Do you understand? In other words, if everything you've said is true, then you are the main culprit, and she is merely an accomplice. Do you understand? I understand. Duan Jinghong nodded her head seriously. Duan Jinghong nodded her head solemnly. I did everything, but the person that gave me the order was Song Xian. All I did was reveal the truth. As for the consequences, that is a matter for the police and the court to deal with. No matter what the verdict is, I deserve it. After hearing Duan Jinghong's words, the police nodded their heads. You're very self-aware. That's great. Since the nature of this incident is so bad, we will definitely investigate it thoroughly. Otherwise, the entertainment industry's unhealthy tendencies will spread all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. Duan Jinghong was extremely calm. Especially after revealing the truth, she no longer had to carry any secrets or shackles on her shoulders. Everything was relaxed. The media quickly rushed to the police station and surrounded it. As Duan Jinghong had voluntarily turned herself in, and was extremely cooperative, the police did not allow the media to get close to her in order to protect her. Even so, the media still received news that Duan Jinghong had turned herself in. Not only was she a member of AOB, she was also the Duan Jinghong that once burgled Ting's office. Not only that, she was also Song Xian's ex-manager. In fact, she even personally described to the police how Hu Jingjing was injured, and how Tongning almost had a miscarriage. She admitted that she had personally done it, but the mastermind was actually Song Xian. As soon as the incident happened, the internet exploded. Hai Rui's Emoting also sent 2 people to ensure Duan Jinghong's safety. From the looks of it, Hai Rui was extremely supportive of Duan Jinghong's decision. I never thought there was an inside story behind Jingjing's injury. Duan Jinghong may be hateful, but Song Xian is a complete psycho. Duan Jinghong voluntarily turned herself in. Although we know that she's done a lot wrong, her courage in admitting her mistakes is commendable. Song Xian previously accused Hai Rui of hurting her grandfather online, yet she did so many shameless things behind his back. How hateful. Bitch. At the hospital, as soon as Song Xian saw that Duan Jinghong had turned herself in, she almost went crazy with anger. It wasn't easy for her to use Elder Song's injury to gain some sympathy. Yet, Duan Jinghong actually turned herself in. This bitch has no evidence. Doesn't she know that she'll only be hurting herself in the end? In reality, this was similar to her accusation against Hai Rui. Neither side could produce any concrete evidence, so they were simply having a good argument. However, the fact that Duan Jinghong went straight to the police station made people believe in her sincerity and believed in her words. So public opinion immediately sided with her. I can't just sit here and wait for death. I need to fight back. After speaking, Song Xian gave Xiao Yuho a phone call. I want to sue Duan Jinghong for defamation at the same police station that she went to. Xiao Yuho did not know how to deal with a crisis. He simply felt that Song Xian's action was the best way to fight back against Duan Jinghong, so he agreed and escorted her to the police station to confront Duan Jinghong. But as a result, the police station became extremely lively. Duan Jinghong never expected that Song Xian would appear at the same police station. Worst of all, Song Xian was going to sue her for defamation right in front of Duan Jinghong. The media desperately tried to find something to report, but the police were already prepared. Seeing this, both the plaintiff and defendant were already present. When enemies came face to face, their eyes were filled with hatred. But Song Xian knew that Duan Jinghong's actions today would only result in a loss for both parties. There was no benefit to be gained. It's bad enough that you've ruined yourself, yet you're trying to drag me down with you. Are you satisfied with the outcome? Hearing Song Xian's question, Duan Jinghong's eyes turned cold as she calmly replied, "You can't escape." "What evidence do you have?" Song Xian shrugged her shoulders. "Since you've already debuted, you should just be a small-time celebrity. Why do you have to make it look so ugly?" Duan Jinghong did not say a word as she closed her eyes. Seeing this, Song Xian wanted to step forward, but the people from Hai Rui stopped her. "Step back. Where are the bodyguards? I told you to step back. Don't you understand?" The people from Hai Rui pushed Song Xian away. "Why don't you take a look at the type of person you're protecting? She's just a nobody. Is there a need to work so hard? But she has dignity, while you only have disgust." The people from Hai Rui warned Song Xian not to get any closer. Afterwards, according to Duan Jinghong's words, the police visited each and every one of them. However, they did not find any evidence and did not file a case for surrendering. According to the police's investigation, there is no more evidence to prove that the two of you are related to these 2 incidents. So the police station can't make a case to arrest you. You can go back first. As long as there is any progress, we will definitely inform you. After hearing what the police had to say, Song Xian laughed. "Duan Jinghong, this is the consequence of surrendering." Afterwards, she said to the police, "I want to sue Duan Jinghong for defamation." The police glanced at Song Xian and said impatiently, "We simply haven't found any evidence yet. Why are you acting so arrogant? Before the case is closed, you are still a suspect. I have a lawyer that can handle it." After speaking, Song Xian left the police station arrogantly. But Duan Jinghong did not move an inch. "Have you investigated everything according to my instructions? You didn't find any evidence at all?" "Miss, I understand how you feel. You want to bring the culprit to justice. But the chances of finding evidence for something like this is very slim. Hurry and go home." Duan Jinghong did not want to give up. She wanted to ask the police again, but the people from Hai Rui said to her, "Go home. There's no point in panicking." "I'm angry that I can't do anything to Song Xian, even though I'm looking at her. Heaven's net has a long way to go. Some people will always get what they deserve. The fact that the police couldn't find any evidence was within Song Exion's expectations. After all, she had always been the one that moved her mouth. Who could prove anything? So it was normal for her to be arrogant. After leaving the police station, Song Exion said to the reporters, "Regarding Duan Jinghong's slander, I will use the law to protect my rights. I never expected that I would be stabbed by my most important friend. From now on, I no longer have a friend like her. I will definitely make Duan Jinghong pay a heavy price." Chapter 726. The plot had changed too quickly, so the public had no time to update themselves. All the media knew was that the crimes that Duan Jinghong accused Song Exion of were not established, because there was no evidence. Song Exion left before Duan Jinghong and acted arrogantly in front of the media. But what would Duan Jinghong do? Facing the cameras of the reporters, Duan Jinghong suddenly knelt down with a pained expression. "I don't want anything right now. I simply want to punish the evil. As long as someone can provide me with evidence, I, Duan Jinghong, am willing to give up everything I have as compensation." "Miss Duan, what made you step forward to testify against Song Exion? Is it convenient for you to reveal it to us? I've already made myself clear in front of the police. I am willing to accept punishment from the law. All I ask is that the law doesn't let any guilty person off, especially Song Exion." After speaking, Duan Jinghong left the police station under the protection of Hai Rui's bodyguards. Of course, a complicated entertainment gossip like this caused the bored netizens to fall into a heated discussion. If Song Exion was actually behind all this and we can't find any evidence against her, then she's too despicable. That's right. Duan Jinghong acted like she was asking for punishment from the law. I'm sure she's prepared for the worst. It's obvious that she has a sacrificial spirit. I hope Song Exion doesn't get away with it. Perhaps Duan Jinghong is deliberately taking revenge on Song Exion? That's hard to say. After all, we don't have any evidence. Regardless, there were people supporting both sides and each of them had their own opinions. Duan Jinghong insisted that Song Exion was guilty, but the police couldn't find any evidence. To make Song Exion pay for what she had done was indeed extremely difficult. It was no wonder that Song Exion could remain arrogant even at this stage. As Tongning knew the outcome of Duan Jinghong turning herself in, she asked the bodyguards to escort her to Hyatt Regency. After coaxing the two babies to sleep, Tongning walked into the living room and saw Duan Jinghong. "I already know the outcome. I never thought it would be so difficult to punish her," Duan Jinghong said in a choked-up voice. Duan Jinghong sobbed. "If the law can't find any evidence, wouldn't my sacrifice have been in vain? From now on, no one will be able to deal with Song Exion." "That's not necessarily true." Tongning gestured for Duan Jinghong to sit down and handed her a tissue to help her control her emotions. "Does Song Exion have a criminal record of injuring someone? That was when she was still a student. In order to get first place, she purposely injured her opponent on the eve of the award ceremony. The other party had caught her, but she had used her background to whitewash everything. However, there is no evidence for these things." "You're wrong. After you told us what happened, Mo Ting instructed Lu Che to start an investigation. However, there was no news until now. Perhaps because of Song Exion's attitude, the culprit was heartbroken, so he took the initiative to call Hai Rui and claim to be Song Exion's classmate. He even found an eyewitness. Is this true?" Duan Jinghong's heart was once again filled with hope. "You'll know if it's true after you meet him." If this matter was exposed, neither Song Exion nor Elder Song would be able to escape the law. Of course, Elder Song had no idea what was going on. But after all the trouble that Song Exion had caused, it was impossible for Elder Song to continue working, and he would be investigated. After Duan Jinghong turned herself in, the police failed to find any evidence. This further fanned Song Exion's anger. She directly claimed that Hai Rui wanted to turn the situation around and make the media forget how they had hurt her grandfather. So, she bribed Duan Jinghong to stage a show of turning herself in. Since there was no evidence, as long as she said it, people would definitely believe her. Of course, the world was big, so it wasn't impossible. The public did not seem to notice that Hai Rui was in a quagmire. It was as if they couldn't find a way to prove their innocence. Faced with the media and the public, Song Xian spoke with conviction and played the role of a victim to the extreme. But at this time, the police suddenly arrived at the hospital to investigate the cause of the car accident. Although Song Xian was nervous, she believed that her threat to Uncle Chen was effective. As soon as the police entered the hospital room, she followed closely behind. During this time, she glared at Uncle Chen multiple times. "Your name is Old Chen, right? Can you tell us how the car accident happened?" Old Chen sat up and glanced at Song Xian. He then replied in a raspy voice, "Yes, Uncle Chen isn't in a good state. Don't waste too much time. Speak. Actually, this car accident wasn't an accident like it seems." Uncle Chen pointed to Song Xian. "She deliberately interfered with my driving. That's why the car accident happened. It has nothing to do with Hai Rui. It's all because of her." As soon as Uncle Chen finished speaking, Song Xian's expression changed. "Uncle Chen, how could you say such nonsense in front of the police?" "Whether I'm lying or not, the memory card in the car can give the police the answer," Uncle Chen replied in a deep voice. "I've driven for the Song family for so many years. I never expected the big miss to be such a jerk. How dare you ask me to hide the truth of an accident? That's impossible. The dashcam couldn't have recorded this. The Song family's car has always been equipped with cameras because Mr. Song has a high status and is afraid of being used to threaten him." After hearing this, Song Xian's face turned pale. "No way. You're lying." "I, Chen Liang, have been a driver my entire life and have always known my place. There's no way I would hide it from the police and ask you to frame someone else. Your conscience allows it, but mine doesn't." The police nodded their heads and turned to their colleagues. "Remember to look for the cameras." Seeing the police move, Song Xian immediately grabbed onto them and said, "You can't go. You can't go." The police looked at her mockingly. It seemed the truth didn't need to be verified by the cameras anymore. Song Xian was pushed to the ground. She suddenly felt powerless. She couldn't stop the news from being leaked. Soon, everyone in Beijing found out that Song Xian had been slapped in the face by her own driver. How shameless. She actually tried to blame it on Hai Rui. Luckily, the driver is a good person. She caused the car accident herself, yet she insisted on making Hai Rui take the blame. I've never seen such a shameless person. I'm starting to believe what Duan Jinghong said. From the car accident, we can see Song Xian's character. I also believe her. Meanwhile, Hai Rui finally made a statement. They also had something to say tomorrow. From the looks of it, they were going to have an ultimate showdown with Song Xian. Since Hai Rui was going to make a move, it meant the show was about to reach its climax and come to an end. Chapter 727. After the police left, Song Xian glared at Uncle Chen angrily. "Why did you tell the police? Did you know that because of what you said, I could go to jail? The Song family has treated you well. Is this how you repay your benefactor? Since you've done something wrong, you should go to jail." Uncle Chen was neither servile nor overbearing, completely unaffected by Song Xian's threat. "You will pay for what you've said today." Uncle Chen scoffed as he lay down on the bed to continue resting. He had no intention of responding to the crazy Song Xian. He must have been blind to have come to work for the Song family. How could he have met such a crazy woman? Although Song Xian wanted revenge, she was more concerned about the police's progress. She wanted to know if they had already gotten their hands on the cameras, and if they had discovered her crimes. As for Hai Rui, what game was Emoting playing? Although she was currently in a disadvantageous situation, it was impossible for Emoting to defeat her like this. Impossible. All. Nothing. Ever since her leg injury, Hu Jingjing rarely appeared in front of the public. If it wasn't because Tongning had given birth, she would have continued to stay at home, unwilling to face the outside world. Song Xian's incident caused an uproar, and the topic of her was once again brought up. But no matter what the outcome was, her career was no longer going to return. So what was the point? especially when she saw the scars on her legs. How was she to compete on the runway with her legs? The babies are so well behaved. The two brothers look exactly the same. Otherwise, why would they be called twins? Tongning helped the babies clean up the crib and placed the babies on the bed with Hu Jingjing looking after them. What do you plan to do from now on? Are you not going to make a comeback? Hu Jingjing asked as she played with the baby's chubby hands. I'll deal with Song Xian first. Tongning had not thought about the future. Because of the birth of the babies, her plans were completely disrupted. After all, life before and after giving birth was completely different. So she didn't want to be away from the babies for too long. I've seen the news. This Song Xian, out of all the people I know, is the most disgusting. I will definitely send her to where she belongs. Needless to say, Hu Jingjing understood. This place was a prison. I hope everything goes well tomorrow. But this matter didn't need to wait until tomorrow. Because as soon as the police followed Uncle Chen's instructions to retrieve the surveillance cameras, they already knew that Song Xian was the cause of the accident. That night, Song Xian was brought to the police station for questioning. However, Song Xian refused to say a word. Her lawyer had instructed her not to let her emotions affect her decisions before he arrived. Late at night, when Mo Ting received the news, he had just finished bathing the babies. As he tidied up the bathroom, he turned on hands-free and said to Lu Che, "Right now, she is only being detained temporarily. That is not our goal. Don't forget our goal. We want her to spend the rest of her life in prison. So we will continue with our plan tomorrow and give Song Xian a huge surprise." I understand, President. As the almighty CEO of Hai Rui, he obviously didn't need to do everything himself. But as long as it concerned her or the baby, he would always do it himself, no matter how big or small it was. Tongning couldn't help but sigh as she climbed onto Mo Ting's back and wrapped her arms around his neck. What happened? Nothing. I just feel like I married an amazing husband. Did you only find out now? Mo Ting smiled as he stood up and carried Tongning out of the bathroom. His footsteps were steady. Stay by my side for the rest of your life. You will discover even more amazing things about me. Tongning did not respond. She simply leaned on Mo Ting's shoulder and bit him hard. You're already a mother. How come you still can't change this habit? Mo Ting did not furrow his brows. He simply remembered that it had been a long time since Tongning had bitten him. Tongning loosened her bite and lifted Mo Ting's shirt to look at the bite marks on his shoulder. She suddenly felt a little guilty. Does it hurt? Mo Ting did not say a word. He simply let out a gentle laugh as he carried Tongning onto the bed. The couple seemed to have maintained this habit. No matter what they were like on the outside, when they returned home, they would always be each other's most needed partner. And now, their lives were about to be joined by two adorable little things. This was perhaps the most embarrassing night Song Xian had ever had. She was continuously interrogated at the police station until late at night without a single bite of food, let alone a bed for her to lie on. Miss Song, it's hard for us to keep your mouth shut like this. Why can't you be a little more straightforward? The case is actually already very clear. Before my lawyer arrives, I won't say anything. Song Xian repeated this sentence over and over again that night. The police were so tired of hearing it that they were about to grow calluses. The police rolled their eyes and shook their heads. Taking the initiative to explain the case will help you, miss. Song Xian closed her eyes and pretended not to hear what the police were saying. The police helplessly slammed their hands on the table and stood up. She has quite a strong mentality. This was the scariest part about Song Xian. Without any evidence, she wouldn't say anything. Because this bit of evidence was not enough for her to admit defeat. Soon, Song Xian's lawyer arrived at the police station. Using some unknown method, Song Xian was released on bail. The police watched helplessly as the criminal left. As a result, Song Xian's smile was filled with a sense of ridicule and pride. Xiao Yuhe was waiting outside to receive Song Xian. Seeing her in such a sorry state, he immediately ran over and escorted her home. Eat something first, we'll think about other things later. I will definitely return the humiliation I suffered today 100-fold in the future. Song Xian was still dreaming that there would be a future for her. But she had no idea that emoting never gave people a second chance. What do you plan to do with Hai Rui tomorrow? Xiao Yuha asked as he sat beside Song Xian. His right hand occasionally placed food in front of her. Emoting isn't someone to be trifled with. I don't have the ability to settle things for you. Don't worry, Hai Rui won't be able to find any evidence. Song Xian might have hesitated if it was anything else, but when it came to Hu Jingjing and Hua Wenfeng, wasn't it Duan Jinghong that did it? What did it have to do with her? Did Hai Rui make a move without any evidence? I don't know what Hai Rui is like at other times, but this time, Hai Rui definitely have no evidence because I didn't do it. After speaking, Song Xian put down her bowl and chopsticks and said to Xiao Yuha, "In a moment, I'm going to treat my grandfather. I refuse to believe that he would betray me." Chapter 728. In reality, Song Xian only appeared strong on the surface. Deep down, she knew that every time Hai Rui made a move, it was always because they were confident. But she had no idea if there were any loopholes in the way she handled this incident. Unless Hai Rui wanted to fabricate evidence. According to Tongning's unscrupulous personality, this was definitely possible. But when the time came, Song Xian could only react accordingly. Tongning, go ahead and bring it on. The outcome of the battle was not yet determined, but she had no idea. Hai Rui didn't want to settle the score with her this time. After the car accident, coupled with the fact that Hu Jingjing was bitten and Tongning almost had a miscarriage, as well as Elder Wu's plagiarism incident, Song Xian's incident received a lot of attention from the public. Almost everyone already believed that Song Xian was the culprit. But they were also curious if Hai Rui would be able to produce any evidence. This was originally a matter for the police. But because it happened in the entertainment industry, it was best to use the entertainment industry's methods to resolve it. Song Xian, of course, was deceiving herself. She thought, as long as Hai Rui couldn't produce any evidence, she would be fine. But in reality, a lot of things were slowly changing. For example, from now on, the entertainment industry would no longer have a place for her. The next morning, it was 8 a.m., as promised by Hai Rui. As scheduled, Hai Rui held a press conference. This time, the new PR director personally attended. As Hu Jingjing was involved, he was afraid that Fang Yu wouldn't be able to control his emotions. As the lights of the media flickered, the new director stepped onto the stage and said, "This matter concerns Hai Rui's reputation and many of our artists. Right now, Hai Rui would like to provide a response to Miss Song Xian's previous accusations. I hope everyone in the media can report the truth. Of course, we will not be merciful to her just because of her grandfather." Song Xian and Hai Rui have been entangled for a long time. Today, Hai Rui will clarify everything. Firstly, Song Xian accused Hai Rui of suppressing other artists in order to protect Tongning's position. Of course, she was referring to herself. But everyone knows that Tongning is an actress and Song Xian is pursuing her career in the music industry. There is no competition between the two. Plus, Miss Tongning has already announced her indefinite retreat from the industry, so there is no need for her to compete with Song Xian. So this is purely Song Xian's slander. Secondly, Elder Wu's plagiarism case resulted in his brain being damaged and Tongning's film being taken off the shelves. She was also banned by the industry, and the original author of The Tracker stepped out to identify the culprit. As a result, there was a lot of gossip online, but Hai Rui did not do anything about it. I will keep Hai Rui's answer for now and reveal it to everyone later. Thirdly, regarding Song Xian's previous manager, Duan Jinghong. Due to the theft incident, she was left with a negative image, but Hai Rui managed to help her debut. There are reasons for this. Firstly, Duan Jinghong explained to Hai Rui the reason she entered President Mo's office was because of Song Xian. She wanted to help Song Xian obtain Hai Rui's evaluation of Song Xian, so she made the wrong decision. Secondly, Duan Jinghong confessed to Hai Rui about Song Xian's evil deeds and asked them for help. But because Duan Jinghong knew Song Xian's secret and Song Xian was notorious, Hai Rui decided to make this arrangement to protect Duan Jinghong. If Duan Jinghong really wanted to be famous, She could have used another identity to walk down the starry road. Why would she step out to identify Song Xian? Everyone must be curious as to why Duan Jinghong betrayed Song Xian after treating her so loyally in the past. It was because Duan Jinghong shouldered the crime of theft for Song Xian. Yet Song Xian abandoned her like a pair of worn-out shoes. So this is the result we're seeing now. Duan Jinghong has calmly faced herself, but there are some people that still refuse to admit to their evil deeds. Let's not talk about the things that everyone thinks have no evidence for now, and ignore the car accident incident. Hai Rui will now announce another big crime that Song Xian has committed. Friends from the media, please open your eyes wide. As soon as the director finished speaking, someone appeared on the red carpet supporting a woman on crutches. The reporters quickly moved aside, but they couldn't understand why Hai Rui was doing this. Who was this woman? This woman is called Song Xiaoxiao. She is in her early 20s and is the same age as Song Xian. Not only that, they are classmates. I'm sure everyone has noticed that this child's left leg has been amputated from a high position. So, how did she end up disabled? This is all because of Song Xian. At that time they were both 19 years old. Because Xiaoxiao beat Song Xian and won first place, Song Xian made a crazy decision to push her down the stairs. Because Song Xiaoxiao was injured, she couldn't attend the award ceremony. But Song Xian never expected that Song Xiaoxiao would see the person that pushed her. At this time, Song Xian did something even crazier. She used her grandfather's identity to threaten Song Xiaoxiao's family. After so many years, Song Xiaoxiao's heart has been in pain. She watched as Song Xian slowly rose to fame, while she herself became a useless piece of trash. In the past, she was afraid of putting her family in danger, so she held it in. But now, she simply wants to tell everyone the truth. That Song Xian is a murderer. By the way, Song Xian, you better not try to deny what you did. We have witnesses, as well as evidence of you sending people to threaten the Song family. We will hand it over to the police later. As soon as they saw the disabled child, the reporters began to take photos. They never expected that they would get to see a copy of the story. If they looked at it this way, Song Xian was unforgivable. Seeing the intense reaction from the public, the director handed the microphone to Song Xiaoxiao. Although Song Xiaoxiao was disabled, she was braver than anyone else in the face of hatred. His raspy voice was clearly transmitted to every corner of the room. Song Xian is an evil person. I'm afraid none of you here can imagine it. After saying that, she pointed to the empty space on her left leg and said coldly, "When I was 19, I rolled down from the 4th floor. If it wasn't for my luck, perhaps I wouldn't have been able to stand here and speak. I wouldn't have been able to seek justice for myself. That's why, as soon as I heard rumors about Song Xian's schemes, I was the first to believe them. Because that's exactly the kind of person she is." Yesterday, after the car accident, Song Xian was detained by the police for an interrogation. Yet, she was bailed out and is still getting away scot-free. So the reason I'm standing here today is to send her back to prison. I don't want to see this woman walk around with her uninjured legs again. It's disgusting. Chapter 729. Song Xian is an ambitious and heartless person. Although I've been disabled for a few years, my biggest wish in this life is to see Song Xian sent to prison. Song Xiaoxiao's words were powerful. At the same time, her words were filled with hatred. Tongning felt the same way. This was exactly how Tongning felt. How Hu Jingjing was bitten, and how her baby was almost miscarried. The anger she felt was something she would never forget for the rest of her life. So, she and Song Xiaoxiao now had a common goal. This time, Song Xian was no longer going to get away with her crimes. Even through the television screen, the viewers could feel Song Xiaoxiao's pain, especially when they saw her missing left leg. At this moment, everyone had the right to punish Song Xian for her barbaric actions. Song Xian never expected that Hai Rui would use her past as a trump card. She was too naive. It turned out, even without Duan Jinghong's accusation, Hai Rui could still destroy her reputation, because she had done too many evil things. It didn't take long before Song Xian's lawyer gave her a phone call. He told her that he might not be able to bail her out this time, and told her to find a way to seek refuge overseas. But Song Exeon wasn't convinced. How could she lose? She couldn't possibly lose. Even so, she couldn't avoid being taken back to the police station by the police. Inside the same room, the same police officer interrogating her. "Miss Song, we meet again. This time, who are you going to use as a shield?" Song Exeon remained silent, as if she was waiting for Elder Song's final chance. But the truth was, after Elder Song woke up from his surgery and saw the news, he sat in his hospital room smoking cigarettes for half an hour. He couldn't believe that the man he had raised was such a beast in human clothing. How am I supposed to face anyone? The news continued to broadcast the scene of Hai Rui's press conference. Song Exeon's reputation was completely ruined. But even at this point in time, Song Exeon continued to deny all her crimes. Her mental fortitude was top-notch. This continued until the police received news that Elder Song had committed suicide in the hospital. After the police received the report, they returned to the interrogation room and placed the information in front of her. "I've seen countless evil women. Some have chopped their husbands to death and strangled their daughters to death. But when faced with solid evidence, none of them would continue to quibble like you. If you still have a little bit of conscience, you should pay for your grandfather's death." For a moment, Song Exeon didn't understand what the police were saying until she saw Elder Song's death report. "What happened to my grandfather? How did my grandfather die? Why did you die? Shouldn't you be asking yourself?" After speaking, the police handed Elder Song's will to Song Exeon. Seeing the snow-white envelope, Song Exeon realized that her hands were trembling uncontrollably. Seeing this, the policeman reached out to help her open it. "Exeon, or this is the last time Grandpa will call you that. Seeing you do so many wrong things, I really don't have the face to continue living in this world. I can only use my life to repay the debt you owe others. I think this is probably my retribution for not educating you well. As for making you lose your only family member, it may be God's retribution for you. I've donated all my assets to charity. I don't want to leave my assets in the hands of an evil person. You're on your own now." Song Exeon was forced to finish reading the short will. She then went crazy. "This is impossible. My grandfather can't be dead. He's dead. You caused his death. You caused your grandfather's death." The police yelled at Song Exeon. "If I was in your position, I would first chop you to death before committing suicide. At least I would have created some value for society." Song Exeon's eyes grew wide as she collapsed onto the chair and knelt on the floor. "I didn't cause grandfather's death. No, it was them. Elder Song sure was unlucky to have a granddaughter like this. In the end, he had no choice but to pay for it with his life." Long Jie watched the news as she helped Tongning take care of the baby at Hyatt Regency. Although it's a pity, perhaps this is fate. They say that children are enemies from their previous life, and are here to collect their debts. I wonder what Elder Song did in his previous life to owe Song Exeon so much in this life. Tongning smiled as she received the baby from Long Jie. "Although it's a pity, there's nothing we can do about it." But even in a situation like this, Song Exeon is still pretending to be deaf and mute. Does she not feel any guilt towards her grandfather's death? Tongning shook her head. Just as she was about to place the baby in the crib, she received a phone call from Lu Che. Song Exeon has confessed. After seeing Elder Song's body at the hospital, she couldn't take it anymore and told the police everything. "Isn't that great?" Long Jie winked at Tongning. "If that's the case, then we can finally get rid of the she-devil. If she can still act like nothing has happened, then let's ask the heavens to send a bolt of lightning to strike her dead." Song Exeon's hatred could be easily understood by looking at the thousands of comments left behind. "Although it sounds cruel, I hope to see her executed by 1,000 cuts. If her flesh was cut off piece by piece, that would be even better. Song Exeon is a rotten bitch. Are you happy that she caused the death of her grandfather? I hope the police don't let a difficult person like her die so easily. It's best if she stays in prison for a long time." Inside the police station, Song Exeon had already admitted to a few crimes. However, when it came to Hua Jingjing and instigating Hua Wenfeng, She refused to admit defeat. She even said to the police, "If you want me to admit to my crimes, then tell Tongning to come see me." Tongning is no longer someone that you can see, the police said as they cuffed her up. From now on, the only thing that will accompany you is the high walls of the prison. You will never see the light of day again. No, I still have Duan Jinghong to keep me company. Song Xian was still trying to find her last bit of comfort. But it didn't take long before the police destroyed her hopes. You're wrong. Duan Jinghong has done a meritorious deed by turning herself in. Plus, the people involved in the incident have all expressed their forgiveness for her. So her punishment will be much smaller than yours. There is only a thin line between good and evil. It will decide whether you will go to hell or heaven. Just wait for your sentence. As it was a huge case that shocked the entertainment industry, Song Xian's incident received a lot of attention from the public. With so many crimes added together, the punishment was more than enough for Song Xian to repay for the rest of her life. The person that should feel relieved was Hua Wenfeng, because she would soon have company. By the time the incident ended, Chen Xingyan had just finished filming and returned to Beijing. She and Zihao entered Hyatt Regency to visit Tongning. Seeing her two nephews, Chen Xingyan was extremely excited. Tongning noticed Zihao's gaze was fixed on Chen Xingyan, so she smiled and asked, "Have you confirmed your relationship?" And Zihao shook his head. "We are simply working together." Chapter 730. Tongning did not expose him. She simply smiled. Even if Zihao could hide his feelings, Chen Xingyan couldn't. Now that the babies have been born, can you consider making a comeback and acting in a film? And Zihao had already started to think about Tongning's future. Your acting is so good. You can't let it go to waste so easily. The crew of Concubine Ning is waiting for you. Tongning looked at the babies in Chen Xingyan's arms and looked at them gently. We'll talk about it in the future. These two rascals can't leave me for now. You still don't plan to announce it to the public? I need to give Song Xian a spot in the headlines for now. And Zihao looked at Tongning with a deeper meaning. He originally thought that after experiencing so much scheming in the entertainment industry, Tongning would have already seen through it. But in reality, she had always been passionate and valued her career as an actress. Right now, the entire nation was waiting to see Song Xian's fate. After all, this was a celebrity committing a crime, so the novelty of it wouldn't die down anytime soon. Late at night, when Mo Ting returned home, Chen Xingyan and Mo Ting had just left. Mo Ting first gave Tongning a hug before he headed straight to the baby's room. I've already asked Lu Che to contact the relevant personnel to take good care of Song Xian. In that case, she won't have a good time in prison for the rest of her life. Tongning smiled as she shook her head. The rest of her life? That would depend on her being alive. However, Mo Ting did not say this out loud. But whenever he mentioned Song Xian, his gaze would always contain a hint of ruthlessness and darkness. Meanwhile, Zihao drove Chen Xingyan back to his apartment before he drove out again. Chen Xingyan had no idea where he was going, so she had a bath and sat on the sofa waiting for him. However, at this time, Zihao entered an old residential area and entered one of the buildings with familiarity. He had received a phone call from Yin Xian's father to tell him that Mother Yin was sick. Ever since Yin Xian left, Zihao had been taking care of her parents. Although he didn't visit them often, whenever something important happened, he would still drop by to check on them. Zihao, your Auntie Yin went to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor suggested that she go overseas for treatment. I don't know anything. What should I do? Uncle, don't panic. I'll go in and see Auntie first. With that, Zihao pushed open the door and entered. Seeing the old lady lying on the bed, he sat on the edge of the bed and asked, Auntie, are you all right? Zihao, you're here. Mother Yin looked old and her breathing was weak, but she still grabbed onto Zihao's hand and said, Zihao, I feel terrible. You can't ignore me. Don't forget about our Yin Xian after you get married. Auntie, even if I get married, I will still take care of you on behalf of Yin Xian. And Zihao replied calmly. No. Mother Yin suddenly roared. You belong to our Yin Xian. You can't marry someone else. If you find someone else, I won't be able to live. Father Yun was standing behind the couple. Seeing Nziheo's unhappy expression, he immediately comforted Mother Yun. Ziheo will never forget Yun Xian. And Ziheo did not say a word. After visiting the two old men, he drove out of the estate. After returning to his apartment, he did not say a word to Chen Xingyan. Yun Xian was Yun Xian. She was already in the past. Of course he knew that. Over the years, Yun Xian's parents had been too reliant on him. That's why they were so afraid of him dating again. But he would marry sooner or later, wouldn't he? Why aren't you sleeping? Seeing Chen Xingyan curled up on the sofa, Nziheo immediately turned off the television. You have a full schedule tomorrow. Don't be stubborn. Go to sleep. But Nziheo didn't say anything else and directly entered the study. He didn't know why, but he felt a little annoyed. He clearly knew that Yun Xian's parents weren't his responsibility. Chen Xingyan tiptoed into the study room, quietly climbed onto Nziheo's lap and sat down. Sleep with me? I still have something to do. You're obviously fine. Chen Xingyan exposed him. Go to sleep first. Be good. You have something on your mind. I heard Ning Jie ask you a question today. Why didn't you just admit it? I'm not ready to go against Mo Ting yet. Nziheo replied as he looked into Chen Xingyan's eyes. Plus, there was still the matter of Yun Xian's parents that had not been resolved yet. Why should I let him decide the most important thing in my life? Chen Xingyan scoffed. I can marry whoever I want. Hearing the word marry, Nziheo suddenly let out a gentle laugh as he held onto Chen Xingyan's cheeks and asked, You haven't truly understood me yet. How do you know you won't regret it? Will you make me regret it? I will try my best to give you happiness. After speaking, Nziheo carried Chen Xingyan out of the study room and into the bedroom. Can you sleep now? Chen Xingyan looked at Nziheo without saying a word. In the end, she nodded her head and closed her eyes to sleep. For some reason, she felt particularly uneasy that night. She could sense that Nziheo was wavering. When a person's love for another person was too deep, they would often become sensitive and suspicious. This was her first love. So of course she would do everything she could for him. But what about Nziheo? Nziheo sat in the study room thinking for the entire night. Before meeting Chen Xingyan, he had never imagined that he would fall in love with anyone again. So he had never tried to correct Yun Xian's parents. But now, he suddenly regretted not doing so in the past. It seemed, he needed to tell the two elders that the only reason he cared for them all these years was because of his past relationship with Yun Xian. But he didn't know them anything. As for why he couldn't tell his wife, it was because before this matter was resolved, how could he give Chen Xingyan happiness? Mo Ting was used to doting on his wife, so there was no way he would tolerate him hurting Chen Xingyan in the future. A few days later, Song Xian's case was heard. As it had a huge impact, the court held a public trial for Song Xian. They wanted to let the entire nation see the punishment that Song Xian would receive. The torture of being in prison was beyond Song Xian's imagination. In just 1 month, Song Xian was in a sorry state and looked extremely haggard. She was completely different from the proud composer that she used to be. In comparison, Duan Jinghong was a lot calmer. In the end, Song Xian was sentenced to 20 years in prison after being found guilty of assault and instigating crimes. 20 years. Hearing this number, Song Xian completely broke down as she knelt on the floor and begged for mercy. I know I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please let me go. I don't want to go to prison. I really don't want to go to prison. However, when people saw Song Xian's expression, they could only feel one word: sigh. Chapter 731. 1 month later. The babies were 1 month old. The two elders, by Li Hua and Xia Yuling, prepared a celebratory party for the babies. But on this day, neither Mo Ting nor Tongning got to hold their babies. After a month of meticulous recovery, Tongning removed her loose clothing and once again donned the long dress she used to wear. Perhaps it was because she was still breastfeeding, her upper body appeared fuller, and her figure was tall and slender. She looked even more sexy and charming than before. Because of this, Hu Jingjing and Long Jie couldn't help but express their dissatisfaction. Other people's bodies turn into apples after giving birth. Why are you even more S than before? Of course, this was all thanks to President Mo. After giving birth, Tongning's nutritionist continued to take care of her diet. Although Tongning had 2 babies to take care of, she did not forget to exercise every day. As a result, her body was even more well-proportioned than before. I feel like you can still walk on the runway. Tongning looked at Mo Ting not too far away and smiled tenderly. It was this man who planned her life so well that she didn't lose anything, whether it was her body or her confidence. After the 1-month celebration, Xia Yuling carried the 2 babies and said to Tongning, "Your son is going to stay with his grandmother tonight. You and Mo Ting can come pick him up tomorrow." "Why?" Xia Yuling blinked at Tongning. "How long has it been since the 2 of you spent time together as a couple? Can you bear for your man to hold it in for so long?" "Mom." Tongning cleared her throat. "Don't worry, we have a nanny at home. Your babies won't go hungry. It's a deal." After speaking, Xia Yuling and Bai Lihua sent off the guests and carried the 2 babies away. The noisy living room suddenly fell silent. The living room was still decorated like it was in a fairy tale world. But Tongning took this opportunity to approach Mo Ting and hug him from behind. "It's been a long time since I've spent so much time with you. Since that's the case, then don't waste Mom's efforts." After speaking, Mo Ting turned around and placed Tongning on the sofa. "Do you know why Mom is doing this?" Mo Ting leaned forward and lifted Tongning's hands above her head with one hand, and lifted her dress with the other. "Because she can tell that I can't wait to eat you up." How long had it been since the 2 of them had done this? Tongning couldn't remember clearly. All she knew was, when Mo Ting's hand brushed across her body, she trembled violently. The numb and itchy feeling was stronger than before. "To the bedroom? Are you shy after becoming a mother?" Mo Ting asked as he pressed the tip of his nose against hers. Tongning had nowhere to run, so all she could do was nod with a red face. Mo Ting did not say another word as he stood up, unbuttoned his shirt, and threw it to one side. He then removed Tongning's dress. They still had 2 bodies without any excess fat, just like before. Mo Ting protected Tongning well. Her body was still in shape. A kiss followed. Tongning had no time to resist. All she could do was wrap her arms around Mo Ting's neck. Because of her passion, her heart felt empty. Soon the restraints on her body disappeared. Tongning looked helplessly at Mo Ting, until the emptiness was filled. She couldn't help but let out a satisfied sigh. Because she loved this man too much. She loved the feeling of Mo Ting inside her body. The combination easily made her excited and made her go crazy. Perhaps because he was afraid of hurting her, Mo Ting slowly rubbed against her. Tongning bit onto Mo Ting's shoulder and sighed, "Ting." Just like before. "Ha." Mo Ting pretended not to hear. "I want you to be like before, ruthless and forceful." Mo Ting did not respond. Instead, he used his actions to prove it. On the sofa, on the stairs, in the bathtub, on the sink. That night, there was only endless demand. There was no end. After the deed was over, Tongning lay limply in Mo Ting's arms. Her voice was a little hoarse. "Have I paid back what I owed you over the past few months? Did you think this would be enough? How naive." That night it was raining heavily. Just as Chen Xingyan finished her work and returned home with Zihao, they found an old man waiting outside. Chen Xingyan was a little confused, but Zihao directly said, "Go in first." Chen Xingyan nodded her head and walked into the bedroom to give Zihao and the old man some privacy. "Zihao, this woman?" Father Yun asked curiously. "She's my girlfriend," and Zihao replied calmly. "Uncle, why are you here?" "So you have a girlfriend? Are you going to get married?" Father Yun sat down and began to mutter. "But didn't you promise?" And Zihao understood what Father Yun was trying to say, so he said patiently, "Uncle, Yun Xian has already passed away for many years. I need to live my own life." "What are you saying? It's not like we're interfering with your private life." "But I don't think it's appropriate. Yun Xian will be unhappy." After hearing this, Zihao fell silent. He understood what Father Yun meant. He was afraid that after he and Chen Xingyan got married, he would no longer take care of them. I promised Yin Xian that I would take care of you, so I won't go back on my word. No, that's not what I meant. I simply can't accept that you've found another girlfriend. Father Yin was a little surprised. Father Yin froze for a moment as his expression turned stiff. We always thought you would send us off in Yin Xian's place. In other words, Father Yin meant that Nziheo already belonged to Yin Xian, so he couldn't have any relationship with anyone else. If he did, he would be betraying Yin Xian. In reality, Nziheo had taken care of them for so many years, so it was normal for them to be worried. But weren't they being a little too selfish? Firstly, Uncle Yin Xian and I are only boyfriend and girlfriend. We are not married. Secondly, although I promised Yin Xian that I would take care of you, I also have my own life. My life cannot be interfered with by anyone. Do you understand what I mean? Father Yin did not respond. He quickly turned around and left. I'll come visit you another day. Nziheo sighed and looked up at the bedroom door not too far away. Come out. Chen Xingyan did not expect Nziheo to know that she was eavesdropping, so she had no choice but to open the door and reveal herself. That person. It's Yin Xian's father. Nziheo replied straightforwardly. I've been taking care of her parents on her behalf. In reality, at the time, Nziheo thought that he was the one that caused Yin Xian's death, so it was only right for him to take care of her. But in reality, Yin Xian's death was all because of Lan Shi's scheme. Are you going to take care of her from now on? Chen Xingyan asked. Are you unhappy? If he was a reasonable person, then it would be fine. But he's obviously not, Chen Xingyan replied straightforwardly. He wants to control your life. I know, leave this matter to me. You don't need to worry about it. Go have a shower, you have an interview tomorrow. Nziheo, I'm someone that likes to give up, but I don't want to give up on you so easily. Don't do anything that makes me feel bad. Chapter 732. Okay, Nziheo nodded. After receiving an answer, Chen Xingyan turned around and returned to her room. She quickly showered and climbed into bed. She felt, as long as she followed Nziheo's instructions, she wouldn't be abandoned. She didn't know that this was a sign of insecurity. She just felt uncomfortable in her heart, but she couldn't say it out loud. Nziheo realized he had hurt Chen Xingyan, so he put down the work in his hands and walked into the bedroom. In the dark, he reached out and pulled Chen Xingyan into his embrace. I'm sorry, I didn't protect your heart well. Chen Xingyan did not say a word. She simply bit Nziheo's arm, leaving deep bite marks on it. No matter what happens, I won't give up on you or abandon you, but don't be the one to give up on me first. Chen Xingyan was still young. Her personality wasn't stable, and her mind wasn't fully mature. He didn't know how far Chen Xingyan could go. After all, Yin Xian's parents' torture was not going to be temporary, but he was going to do everything he could to resolve it. Aha! Chen Xingyan actually didn't know how long she could last. Ever since she was young, she had never liked to force others, and she would never force herself for others. However, this was the first time that she had fallen in love with someone. She hoped that her love would not be given to a man who was not worth it. Translator, Uni Editor. Uni Hairue kept the news of Tongning giving birth under wraps. But the media managed to capture a photo of Xia Yuling carrying her child. As a result, the news of Tongning giving birth once again attracted the attention of the media. At this time, Mo Ting did not give a response. At this moment, the public were left to speculate. However, the company caught wind of the news, so they sent the contract through Lu Che and placed it on Mo Ting's desk. Because Mo Ting was Tongning's manager. CEO, these draft advertising contracts are all about babies. In other words, the public was reminding Mo Ting that it was time for Tongning to change. She was no longer associated with youth. After becoming a mother, many things would become different. Mo Ting did not lift his head as he pushed the contract onto the floor. From now on, don't leave things like this on my desk. I understand. Lu Che had guessed correctly. Mo Ting was definitely angry. Who said Tongning could only be a mother? Who said his wife was old? He would only let his Ning live even younger than before. Then the various rumors about Madame's birthplace. I will find a chance to clarify it. Emoting said before he continued to look at the documents in his hands. Actually, Tongning had already received news from Longjia that plenty of baby products companies had already sent her offers and contracts. But Tongning's reaction was the same as Emoting's. Look at your figure. Your skin is tighter than before. It is no different from before. Longjia complained as she ate. Why don't we ask boss to arrange for you to walk on the runway? Tongning tangled Emo. Long tangled said without a. Tongning did not say a word. She simply looked at the contract for concubine Ning and pretended not to care. Tongning nodded her head. She took these words to heart. However, as she watched Longjia wolf down her food, she couldn't help but laugh. Are you gluttonous? I don't know why, but I've been enjoying them lately, Longjia complained. Have you had a checkup? Are you pregnant? Pregnant? Hearing this, Longjia froze. She had never considered this possibility. But after Bai Lihua suggested they move, her worries disappeared and she let nature take its course. If Tongning hadn't reminded her, she would have thought her stomach had malfunctioned. I will immediately go to the hospital for a checkup. Go ahead. Tongning nodded. Give Lu Che a phone call. Someone needs to accompany him. Okay. Longjia quickly disappeared from Tongning's sight. Afterwards, Tongning fell into deep thought. She couldn't accept the public's perception of her after giving birth. As a result, she worked even harder to train her body. That night, Emoting returned home. Seeing Tongning still in the middle of her workout, he went to feed the baby milk. However, Tongning had already spotted him. As he carried the baby in his arms, she took a photo of the loving father and son. Emoting lifted his head. Seeing that Tongning had taken a photo, he casually said, "Take the photo you just took and announce it to the public." Tongning nodded her head. She understood what Emoting meant. They needed to quell the rumors going around, especially since they had previously been slandered by Hua Wenfeng. So Tongning found Emoting's social media account and posted a photo of the father and son. At the same time, she added 2 words, Nanny Ting. As soon as the public saw the photo Tongning posted, they exploded. Tongning has given birth to Emoting's little Ting. It's actually her son. Tongning is indeed good at face slapping. The people outside are making wild guesses. Their children were sent to the hospital. They can rest now. Look at this picture. It's so comfortable. Daddy Ting is so loving. I can't believe it's not Tongning. What a bad review. Tongning's body has already gone out of shape, hasn't she? Emoting asked Tongning to post a photo like this because he wanted her to maintain a sense of mystery and not let the public see her as a mother. Above all, Tongning did not reveal to the public whether she had given birth to 1 or 2 children. Before returning to acting, I accepted an advertisement for you. After taking care of the children and putting them to bed, Emoting said to Tongning in the bathroom, "It's an internationally renowned cosmetics brand." This was the most amazing thing about Tongning. Logically speaking, after retreating from the industry for so long, Tongning's popularity should have fallen. Yet she did not seem to be affected. This was all thanks to her 3 films. As films were released overseas, they were usually released later than in China. So, The Lost Relative was currently being released overseas. With her influence overseas, it was naturally easier for her to secure an international endorsement. Why did you make such an arrangement? Because I want to prove to everyone that my woman is still as glamorous as ever. Tongning nodded her head as she worked out with Mo Ting. At the same time, the endorsement also took place. Of course, Mo Ting's eyes were as sharp as ever. The reason why he fought so hard for Tongning to secure this commercial was because the commercial was designed to portray a European and American woman. It would showcase Tongning's energy to the public. At that time, he would tell all the manufacturers that this was his woman, and she was no different from before. Chapter 733. Longjia was now over 2 months pregnant. This was perhaps the best news that Tongning had heard in a while. Thinking about how Longjia and Lu Che had finally achieved their long-awaited child, she couldn't help but feel happy for them. In order to take good care of the babies, Longjia put down her work and returned home to wait for the birth. As soon as Lu Che's mother heard about this, she immediately flew over from another city. It seemed, she had already decided to take care of Long Jie for a long time. At this time, Tongning and Mo Ting's babies were almost 60 days old. Seeing the two rascals starting to grow sparse hair, Tongning stretched out her hand and patted her brother on the head. Originally, Mo Ting wanted them to start weaning from now on because Tongning still needed to return to acting. But Tongning rejected Mo Ting's suggestion. The babies need to drink breast milk for their immune system to improve. These are our babies. I can give them the best I can. My sons won't be that weak. I have breast milk now, why can't I give it to our sons? Even if I return to filming a commercial in a month, I can still squeeze out breast milk and store it in a scientific manner. That way, it won't affect the baby's nutrition, Tongning replied with a smile. Mo Ting had no choice but to pull Tongning into his embrace. These two rascals have it easy. Hey, this is your son, Tongning said as she placed her hand on Mo Ting's chest. Don't you think some people don't know what they're doing? Last night, you stole a lot of food from our son. Mo Ting did not say another word. He simply carried Tongning in his arms. They wouldn't dare to say anything. Because of her work on a few variety shows, Chen Xingyan was quite popular. Of course, the main reason why her career was so smooth was because she was Mo Ting's sister. Even if outsiders wanted to make things difficult for her, they had to consider whether they could afford to offend Mo Ting. Although Mo Ting had never publicly acknowledged Chen Xingyan, he never denied her existence either. The variety show that day was a talk show. Because of its novel perspective, it received a lot of attention. Chen Xingyan was one of the guests, and Zihao did not stay by Chen Xingyan's side. Now that she had her own personal assistant, and Zihao allowed Chen Xingyan to do things on her own. Backstage, Chen Xingyan and the other guests shared the same makeup artist. As they were of the same age, the other guests all approached to greet them. However, Chen Xingyan was not familiar with them at all. Seeing Chen Xingyan's indifferent expression, the woman awkwardly withdrew her hand. She then stood to one side and muttered, I wonder how many lifetimes of luck she has had to actually be Mo Ting's sister. So what if she's Mo Ting's sister? Take a look at Tongning. Even though she was personally groomed by Mo Ting, she is still facing anger because of giving birth. She is the wife of a wealthy family. Why would she care about being famous? Don't forget, this industry is all about fame and fortune. In a few years, when Tongning is old and no longer as beautiful as she once was, when you look at her again, she will simply be a disgruntled housewife. That makes sense. After giving birth, I'm afraid the stretch marks on Tongning's tummy would be big enough to squash mosquitoes. Rumor has it that Hai Rui even rejected a few commercials from international brands. Are they not satisfied with their age? Does she think she can defy the natural order? She can't escape it. As soon as a man has a child, he loses interest in women. Just wait and see. No matter how loving a couple is in the entertainment industry, they will still go their separate ways. Originally, Chen Xingyan wanted to listen to them with one ear and out the other. But these two bitches continued to talk behind her back. In the end, she couldn't take it anymore. Wait until you guys reach Tongning's position before you say that she is outdated. You won't even have the chance to be outdated. The two women turned around and glared at Chen Xingyan. They then rolled their eyes and scoffed. What did they mean by Tongning's figure had changed? Was she outdated? She had just seen Tongning, and she was obviously prettier than before. How could these people talk behind her back like this? But the industry was indeed laughing at Tongning for not being satisfied with her age, who gave birth to a child and still thought they were a beautiful young woman. If you weren't Mo Ting's sister, do you think there would be a place for you here? You are merely a stunt double. Do you think you are worthy? Chen Xingyan's assistant was good at doing things, but she didn't know how to argue. Especially when faced with a situation like this, Chen Xingyan felt a little restricted. At this time, Zihao appeared in the doorway of the waiting room and said to the women, Since you know she is Mo Ting's sister, you should stay away from her. Chen Xingyan turned around and saw it was her man. Her heart was filled with excitement. Do you want to know what happened to the last artist that offended Chen Xingyan? The two women were obviously shocked as they quickly packed their things and headed to another waiting room. I thought you weren't going to come? Did you think I wouldn't be worried? And Zihao asked helplessly as he crossed his arms. Chen Xingyan smiled sweetly as she pounced on Zihao. I knew you doted on me. I didn't want to get angry, but these people's mouths should be sewn shut. They said Ning Jia was getting old and had stretch marks on her stomach. I couldn't hold back any longer, so I said a few words. Does Tongning need you to stick up for her? And Zihao shook his head helplessly. She is used to these kinds of storms, and is much more composed than you. Fine, forget about hugging her. If someone sees this, the news will write nonsense again. I'm not that famous yet. But you are Mo Ting's sister. Chen Xingyan was not happy to hear this, even though it was an undeniable truth. But because of the argument that night, Chen Xingyan had no idea what was going on behind the scenes. It wasn't like they didn't like her and wanted to mess with her. Even though she was Mo Ting's sister. It didn't take long before Chen Xingyan arrived at the recording studio to participate in the show. After all, she was used to situations like this from a young age, so she was more at home than the other newcomers. But because of this, the other guests hated her even more. 10 p.m. Chen Xingyan finally finished her show. Her assistant handed her a jacket and prepared to meet up with Zihao outside. But as soon as Chen Xingyan entered the bathroom, she found herself locked inside. Worst of all, she was thrown into a cubicle and had feces poured all over her. Chen Xingyan couldn't avoid it in time, nor could she open the door. All she could do was give her assistant a phone call. As soon as her assistant heard the news, she immediately contacted Zihao and explained the situation. Go to the nearest store and buy a change of clothes. Okay, mister, and afterwards, Zihao barged into the women's bathroom, smashed open the cubicle door and pulled Chen Xingyan out. He then took her to the tap and washed her. Why do you always encounter situations like this? Why can't you learn to behave? If you're not as smart as Tongning, then don't go around offending people. Zihao was so angry that his eyes almost spat fire. Do you want me to be constantly on guard? Chapter 734. Chen Xingyan was no stranger to this scene. Last time Annie. Thinking of these unpleasant memories, Chen Xingyan crossed her arms and allowed Zihao to wash her. It didn't take long before her assistant arrived to buy a change of clothes. The three of them spent 40 minutes in the bathroom, but they still couldn't get rid of the strong smell on Chen Xingyan's body. As a dabbler, it was normal for her to be pranked. Thinking about her past, it was obvious that the industry would always support the strong and step on the weak. This was something that would never change. Chen Xingyan had already fallen for so many tricks in the past, yet she was still being schemed against. No wonder Zihao was disappointed. Her growth was too slow. After returning home, Chen Xingyan locked herself in the bathroom for 4 hours to freshen up. During this time, Zihao contacted the person in charge of the program and told them to keep this matter a secret. He also told them to find out who the mastermind was. But it wasn't easy. By the time Chen Xingyan stepped out of the bathroom, it was already 3:30 am. Seeing Zihao still waiting in the living room, she lowered her head and walked over. In the dark, Zihao wrapped his arm around her waist and pulled her onto his lap. As their eyes met, Chen Xingyan felt like she had been wronged. I don't think I'll ever be able to be as calculative as Ning Jia. It would be too tiring. I don't think I'm suited for this industry. Forget it. Zihao sighed as he pinched her nose. Since Chen Xingyan couldn't become strong on her own and protect herself, then he could only become stronger to protect her. At times he knew he was being too forceful. If you don't like acting and don't like doing these jobs, you can stop doing them in the future. I can? Who asked me to worry? Zihao replied helplessly. Chen Xingyan was silent for a moment. She suddenly felt that she had given up too little in this relationship. She wasn't willing to do anything and didn't want to change anything. It seemed, Zihao had always been accommodating her. I'll hold on for a little longer. If I really can't do it anymore, I'll let you know. Chen Xingyan never imagined that news of Mo Ting's sister being splashed with feces would spread like wildfire the next day. Chen Xingyan's name wasn't important. What was important was that she was Mo Ting's sister. This little stunt double was previously rumored to have drunk urine, and now she's been splashed with feces. She's definitely faded with that aspect. Haha, who said otherwise? Mo Ting's sister doesn't seem like much. Compared to Mo Ting and his wife, the difference is like heaven and earth. Mo Ting never expected that Chen Xingyan would create such news. It seemed, no matter when she made it to the top, it was always because she was being bullied. And Zihao didn't seem to be a good manager. Originally, Mo Ting had no intention of getting involved in Chen Xingyan's matter. But he suddenly received a phone call from Tongning. Xingyan is, after all, your sister. Even if Hai Rui doesn't say anything, we can't just stand by and watch. But this kind of thing, how to deal with it? Don't tell me you're going to watch the Mo family get bullied like this? Mo Ting raised an eyebrow. He then instructed Fang Yu to contact Zihao and tell him that if he couldn't protect Chen Xingyan, he should hand over her contract. Hai Rui wouldn't allow their artists to suffer like this. Meanwhile, Zihao made use of his connections and finally found out who the culprit was. But the troublesome thing was, this little artist had a powerful sister backing her up. As an internationally famous film star, this little artist's sister was one of the most powerful characters. This was probably the reason why the culprit was brave enough to make a move on Chen Xingyan. She had a powerful background. This artist had previously signed with Hai Rui. Afterwards, her career expanded overseas. But after her contract expired, she established her own agency and signed with Hollywood. But she no longer acted and became a producer. Although her focus was overseas, she was still famous in the country. But she was rarely seen in the domestic scene. After finding out how powerful the culprit was, Chen Xingyan stopped Zihao from getting even with her. You previously gave up everything you had for me. What are you going to give up this time? Isn't it just being splashed with feces? It's okay, I can endure it. Zihao looked deeply into Chen Xingyan's eyes. I will definitely get revenge for you. If I say I will do it. You don't need to worry about how I do it. Chen Xingyan looked at Zihao in seriousness for a moment and finally nodded her head. I will try my best to be good from now on. But Mo Ting can't ignore this matter. You were set up because of Tongning. Zihao scoffed. Zihao humphed. Even if he wasn't a good manager, Mo Ting's brother wasn't any better either. So, Zihao directly replied to Mo Ting through Fang Yu. The culprit said that Tongning's stretch marks could crush a bunch of mosquitoes, that she would age in a few years, and that she would be abandoned by you. What he was trying to say was that Mo Ting didn't protect his woman's reputation well, and didn't give the public much confidence. After hearing this, Mo Ting smiled meaningfully and told Fang Yu, contact the CEO of Yixing Film and Television. Her sister has provoked my sister. Tell her to show some attitude. Sister. This was the first time Fang Yu had heard Mo Ting say this word. Of course, Fang Yu understood that the reason Mo Ting wanted to get even with the culprit was not because of his sister, but because of his wife, who asked the culprit's sister to say that Tongning had stretch marks on her body, although a lot of people looked at Tongning in this way. If she dared to say it out loud, she would have grown bolder. It didn't take long before the CEO of Yixing Film and Television personally made a phone call. Something like this should be discussed in person. After all, this is an old employer. As an international superstar who had successfully changed her career, she was naturally capable. Plus, the American culture taught her that women were independent, so she was not afraid of Mo Ting's threat. It's just a child's quarrel. President Mo shouldn't take it to heart. Small quarrel. This was how she defined it. From what I understand, President Mo isn't concerned about a child's quarrel, but because my sister accidentally said something bad about your wife. President Mo sure dotes on his wife. I would like to see for myself. You will see for yourself very soon. Even Mo Ting couldn't force the culprit to give an explanation, let alone Zihao. As for the culprit's claim that it was a small quarrel, then Zihao was going to give it a try. Even so, I still need to say something out of concern. I heard that your wife has already given birth. Since that's the case, isn't it normal for her to have stretch marks? It's a pity that an international supermodel or a talented actress, after giving birth, doesn't have much value anymore. Chapter 735. Is that why, for the sake of greater value, you decided to abandon your own child during your career transition? Emoting asked calmly. The woman was obviously stunned by Emoting's response. She didn't expect Emoting to retaliate in such a way. But a moment later she laughed. This is my personal choice. President Emo has no right to say anything about it. In that case, you should keep your mouth clean. Emoting didn't care about other things, but when it came to Tongning, it was natural for him to retaliate. Okay, I'll keep this matter to myself. After all, everyone has eyes. I've already received your attitude. Don't blame me for not giving you face. The woman once again let out a gentle laugh. In the end, she compromised. How about this? I'll go home and teach her a lesson. What do you think, President Emo? It's too late. After speaking, Emoting hung up the phone. Although he was once a part of Hai Rui, he was no longer a part of the company. Of course, Chen Xingyan wasn't a part of Hai Rui, so he didn't need to mention it. But Tongning. No one was allowed to humiliate her in front of him. Emoting wasn't someone that would be moved by force or persuasion. This was something that everyone in the industry knew. In reality, this made the woman's heart a little flustered. In reality, this incident didn't only concern Chen Xingyan, it also concerned Tongning. After all, Chen Xingyan had stood up for Tongning. The CEO of Yixing Film and Television was called Bai Yu and her sister was called Bai Linlin. Originally, Bai Yu wanted to personally train her sister. But her sister had too many ideas. In the end, Bai Yu gave Bai Linlin a phone call in fear of Emoting. You've blown the matter out of proportion. It's fine if it was someone else, but you had to say bad things about Tongning and splash feces all over Emoting's sister. Do you still want to work in this industry? At this moment, Bai Linlin was sitting in her apartment with her legs crossed proudly. What? My sister is in Hollywood. If worse comes to worst, I'll go work for you. Go apologize to Chen Xingyan. Bai Yu ordered. I'm not going. If you don't go, don't call me your sister from now on. I won't give you a chance to develop in Hollywood. Think carefully and tell me. Bai Linlin angrily hung up the phone and almost smashed it on the floor. Although she couldn't take it lying down, she understood that a wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. So she gave her manager a phone call. Find an opportunity to buy Chen Xingyan a present as an apology. Aren't you going in person? His agent asked. The fact that I'm willing to apologize is already a blessing for Chen Xingyan. Yet she wants me to go personally? No way. Plus, what's wrong with me talking about Tongning? I'm already old, and it's only a matter of time before I'm past my prime. What's there to hide? The manager looked at her phone awkwardly. Bai Yu had already given her a phone call asking her to make Bai Linlin apologize, but Sister Yu wants you to go personally. Bai Linlin angrily kicked the table. After fuming for quite some time, she finally said to her manager, Go find out what that bitch has been doing lately. Okay. The manager assumed that Bai Linlin had thought things through, so she was overjoyed and immediately went to find out what was going on. Bai Linlin scoffed. She wanted to see if her sister would care about her if she offended Hai Rui too much. Tongning understood Chen Xingyan's current situation. Although no one dared to humiliate her in public, there were plenty of people that made things difficult for her behind her back. After all, as Mo Ting's sister, while she enjoyed being a deterrent, she also had to bear the pain of her identity. Mo Ting had always been ruthless in the industry. When it came to dealing with other artists, he never showed any mercy. So there were plenty of people that hated Mo Ting. But because of Mo Ting's capabilities, they never dared to act recklessly. But Chen Xingyan was different. She wasn't an artist from Hai Rui, nor did she have any backing. Although her manager was in Zihao, this alone wasn't enough to protect her. If someone wanted to play tricks in the dark, no one would be able to tell. After the news of the Manor incident spread, Chen Xingyan remained silent for a few days. Even though Zihao was by her side, she still felt very upset that she couldn't do anything at all. She still had to attend a live broadcast tomorrow. Just thinking about the ridiculing looks of people made her feel uncomfortable. So no matter how big the event was, she didn't want to attend. And Zihao sensed her depression, so he pulled her onto his lap and asked gently, "You don't want to go to tomorrow's event?" "Aha, I don't want to be ridiculed. You're no longer the Chen Xingyan I used to know. Where did the Chen Xingyan that was willing to flip the world upside down and make others unhappy go?" After hearing this, Chen Xingyan scoffed, "I'm afraid I'll cause you trouble." After all, and Zihao had used everything he had to get revenge for her. She didn't want to experience it all over again. Respect is something that needs to be given to yourself. If you want others to respect you, you need to respect yourself first. Just go on the show tomorrow. If the sky falls, I will hold it up for you. And Zihao comforted as he hugged Chen Xingyan lovingly. He knew that Chen Xingyan had changed a lot since they started dating. The Chen Xingyan that was once free and unrestrained was now. She had become restrained and had completely lost her sense of self. Late at night, and Zihao was sitting in the study room reading through some documents when he received a phone call from Tongning to confirm Chen Xingyan's schedule. "Is there a live broadcast tonight?" "Yes, 8 p.m. "I'll go have a look and give her some encouragement," Tongning suggested. Okay. He was more than happy to have someone to protect Chen Xingyan with him. Of course, Tongning didn't anticipate that Bai Linlin would appear the next day. She simply felt, at a time like this, she should act like a sister-in-law. At least, the Mo family weren't people that could be easily bullied. Behind them, Mo Ting overheard Tongning's phone call and couldn't help but ask, "Do you want to go protect Chen Xingyan?" "You protect me and I'll protect my family." Mo Ting did not say a word. He simply patted Tongning on the head in agreement. Plus, if Chen Xingyan continues to be bullied, wouldn't you be embarrassed as well? How can a member of the Mo family be bullied by others? Okay. So, Tongning wouldn't be attending an official event tomorrow. She was simply there to support them. Of course, before the commercial was filmed, she wasn't going to casually appear in front of the media. Since they were already mocking her for her stretch marks, she was going to give them a good slap in the face. However, as the person in question, Chen Xingyan had no idea about Bai Linlin, and had no idea that Tongning was going to appear at the event. This show was going to be fun to watch. The next afternoon, Chen Xingyan arrived at the television station accompanied by Zihao. However, as soon as the passers-by saw Chen Xingyan, they all giggled. Chen Xingyan was of course embarrassed. But Zihao directly asked the people that were giggling, "What's so funny?" Chapter 736. The woman didn't expect Zihao to retaliate, so she quickly walked away. Of course, Chen Xingyan's mood improved a little at Zihao's direct protection. Zihao still felt it wasn't enough, so he wrapped his arm around Chen Xingyan's shoulder and pulled her into his embrace. "There's no need." Zihao looked down at her and simply said one word, "Let's go." Chen Xingyan smiled and stopped struggling. At this moment, all she could see was the man protecting her. No one was taller and more powerful than him. Soon, the couple entered the waiting room. Perhaps because of Zihao, the makeup artist was extremely polite to Chen Xingyan. Even if she didn't respect Zihao, she still respected her. "Okay, you've already escorted me here safely. I'm experienced with live broadcasts. You can go back to work." Chen Xingyan remembered that Zihao had an important meeting that night. If it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have been in such a hurry. "Go, don't be late because of me." Zihao looked down at Chen Xingyan, and then at the makeup artist. Obviously, the look in his eyes was different. One was gentle, while the other was stern and filled with warning. The makeup artist smiled. This made Zihao relax a little. She wasn't a bad person. "In that case, I'll get going first. Tell Little Seven to give me a call later." "Okay." Chen Xingyan nodded. Little Seven was the name of Chen Xingyan's assistant. Perhaps because of Annie, Zihao found this assistant for her. She was very capable, but she wasn't slick enough and wasn't smart enough. She simply wanted to take care of her daily life, so there was no need to find someone too slick. Chen Xingyan already had him. Afterwards, Zihao turned and left. The makeup artist picked up her makeup tools and said enviously, "Although she didn't sign with a good agency, with Zihao's care, it's worth it." Chun Xingyan looked into the mirror and nodded her head. She didn't want to join Hairue or Hollywood. As long as she was in Ziheo's only artist, that was enough. As the live broadcast was scheduled to start at 8 p.m., Chun Xingyan had plenty of time to get her makeup done. However, before her makeup was even halfway done, Bai Linlin's manager pushed open the door. She peeked inside to confirm that Chun Xingyan was indeed inside before she pushed the door open. "Hello, Miss Chun. Can I have a few minutes of your time?" Chun Xingyan had no idea that this was Bai Linlin's manager, nor did she know that Bai Linlin was the one that splashed feces at her. So she directly asked, "What is it? The matter is, why are you wasting your breath on her?" Bai Linlin walked past her manager and interrupted her polite words. She walked into the makeup room and leaned against another mirror. "We've met before. My sister asked me to come and apologize." When Chun Xingyan saw Bai Linlin in person, she finally remembered the reason. "Give me the flowers." Seeing Chun Xingyan's expressionless face, Bai Linlin stretched out her hand towards her manager. Bai Linlin's manager immediately handed the bouquet of flowers she had hidden behind her back to Bai Linlin. After receiving the flowers, Bai Linlin directly threw them at Chun Xingyan. "I'm sorry." Perhaps, no one had ever seen an apology like this. She was obviously here to cause trouble. Chun Xingyan looked at the flowers on her body and knew that the woman was here to cause trouble. So she threw the flowers away and said, "Get out of here while I don't want to make a move." "Are you angry?" Bai Linlin giggled. "I thought you had some guts. But in the end you still complained to Mo Ting. All I did was say that Tongning was old. Did you have to make such a big deal out of it? Hey, did Tongning tell you not to say that she's old? But this is the truth. She's already given birth to a child. Is it possible for her to become a virgin again?" After hearing this, Chun Xingyan glared at the man in front of her. But Bai Linlin wasn't afraid. She replied straightforwardly, "If you can't win against me, then go look for my sister. Can you be any more shameless? If you have the ability, then return the suffering you've suffered. Let me tell you, I came here today to scold Tongning. I want to see how far you can go to suck up to her." Chun Xingyan endured because the woman had a powerful background. She didn't want to rely on Hairue and cause trouble for Ziheo. But the more indifferent she was, the more outrageous Bai Linlin became. The event was about to start, but before Tongning's makeup was complete, Bai Linlin continued to cause trouble. When it came to shamelessness, Tongning couldn't compare to Bai Linlin. Do you know what people call Tongning? They call her watermelon skin because her stomach has the same pattern as a watermelon. Chun Xingyan couldn't take it anymore as she grabbed onto Bai Linlin's shirt. But Bai Linlin wasn't afraid as she glared back at Chun Xingyan. "I want to say that Tongning is a slut." "Really? Of course." Bai Linlin replied so quickly that she didn't notice that Chun Xingyan didn't actually say really. As soon as Bai Linlin's manager saw Tongning, her face turned pale as she hid in the back, not daring to make a sound. "I'm a slut. How come I didn't know?" Tongning asked in amusement. Hearing this, Bai Linlin finally realized that Tongning had personally arrived at the waiting room. Bai Linlin was stunned as she turned and looked at her manager, asking, "Why didn't you tell me?" However, Tongning wasn't someone to be trifled with. She immediately said to Lu Che, "Close the door." Lu Che nodded his head and closed the door. Tongning walked over to the waiting area and sat down. She then asked Bai Linlin, "How am I a slut? How am I a slut?" "Miss Bai, I'm sure you have plenty of time to talk to me." Not only Chun Xingyan, but even the makeup artist was shocked by Tongning's sudden appearance. But Tongning didn't forget to remind her, "Continue with your makeup. Aren't you going on stage in 20 minutes? The makeup artist nodded and continued to apply Chun Xingyan's makeup as she watched the commotion unfold. Bai Linlin gulped nervously. For some reason, the arrogance she had earlier completely disappeared. No matter how arrogant she was when she saw Tongning, she couldn't help but feel a chill down her spine and get goosebumps. "Why aren't you saying anything?" Tongning asked as she lifted her head. That is. I'm sure you haven't forgotten about Song Xian, who has just been sent to prison," Tongning suddenly interrupted. "I'm an expert at returning an eye for an eye." You wouldn't dare. Bai Linlin realized she was trembling as she spoke. I can't believe there's a private bathroom here. Tongning mumbled as she looked at the bathroom. Tongning looked at the small room and mumbled. Why don't you have a taste of feces splashed all over your body? No, that's too troublesome. You'll dirty other people's hands. Chapter 737. All you know how to do is bully the weak. If you're so capable, why don't you ask Chen Xingyan to fight me on her own? If she can't win, then she asks for help. How much better do you think you are compared to her? If you're so capable, then say it in front of me. What's the point of gossiping about me behind my back? Tongning asked back. There are plenty of people that are gossiping about you. Why don't you ask them one by one? After hearing this, Tongning decided that since she was already here and had bumped into Bai Linlin, she might as well resolve the matter in one go. So she said to Lu Che, "Open the door. There are plenty of people eavesdropping outside." Lu Che replied, "Let them see it openly." Tongning replied casually. Lu Che nodded his head and opened the door to the makeup artist's room. However, there were quite a few people crowding around the door. All of them seemed to be doing the same thing, leaning against the door as they tried to hear what was happening inside. As soon as Lu Che opened the door, everyone looked at each other awkwardly. This included the person in charge of the program. I'm here to tell Xingyan that the program will be going on in 15 minutes. I never expected to see Tongning here. Xingyan, go get ready. I'll take care of things here. Tongning did not seem to notice that she was being watched as she spoke in a normal tone. Tongning, can I have your autograph? That's right, Tongning, we all like you. It's not easy to see you, so we're a little excited. Tongning. It turned out these people weren't here to watch a good show. They were here because they heard that Tongning was at the television station. So they couldn't help but ask for her autograph. Is there a problem? Tongning promised them one by one as she signed her autograph. Afterwards, one of them said, "You're still as beautiful as ever. You're still so beautiful. You don't look like you've just given birth. I know, right? You've taken good care of yourself. You're so beautiful." Thank you. Tongning thanked them politely. Although Chen Xingyan wanted to stay, she remembered that Zihao had put in a lot of effort to accept this program. So, she had no choice but to stand up, walk past Bai Linlin and everyone else and head straight for the recording studio. Afterwards, Tongning did not say a word as she sat on the sofa and looked at her phone. Every now and then, a few people would walk in and ask for her autograph. But Tongning patiently complied. Not only that, everyone that walked in couldn't help but to wonder how to take care to Tongning. She did not look like she had a child at all, and looked especially young and beautiful. Even the higher-ups of the television station pretended to pass by and greeted her. The makeup room had turned into a reception room with people constantly entering and exiting. But Bai Linlin didn't dare to move an inch. All she could do was let the staff from the television station come and go and point at her. Seeing this, Bai Linlin's manager immediately said, Miss Tang Bai. It's none of your business." Lu Che stopped the manager and gave her a warning. The manager had no choice but to keep quiet and pretend that he was a mute. Bai Linlin stood in the same spot. At this moment, it was her turn to be mocked. News had already spread that the arrogant Bai Linlin, after splashing feces all over Chen Xingyan, had no choice but to obediently stand in front of Tongning like an elementary school student. However long Tongning sat in the waiting room, Bai Linlin stood in front of her for the same amount of time. Even when Chen Xingyan finished filming at 10 p.m., Tongning was still in the waiting room, and Bai Linlin did not dare to move. Chen Xingyan was a little stunned. Of course, she didn't understand how wise Tongning's actions were. As a senior, she couldn't possibly splash feces all over Bai Linlin. Plus, she couldn't do something so degrading. So, allowing Bai Linlin to stand in front of everyone like a retard was the right decision. She didn't need to waste any effort to make Bai Linlin's arrogance disappear without a trace. As for why Bai Linlin didn't dare to move, it was because she was afraid. Tongning didn't say a word. Yet Bai Linlin couldn't move a single step. "You finished filming? In that case, remove your makeup and leave." Chen Xingyan tilted his head. and gestured to Tongning that a certain someone was still standing in the same spot. Tongning smiled and replied, "I didn't ask her to stand there." Bai Linlin glared at the two angrily. After Tongning left, she asked her manager to step in. "If you couldn't make it in time, you should have come over and helped me. Bitch, I will make her pay sooner or later." Tongning boarded her car with Chen Xingyan and said, "I didn't lay a hand on her today because if I did, it would make me look like I was being unreasonable. In the end, I would look like a bully. It wouldn't do you any good. But she's afraid of you." "Do you know why she's afraid of me?" Tongning glanced at Chen Xingyan and replied calmly, "It's because on the path of my rise, I've come across a lot of people like Bai Linlin. At first, she would swallow her anger, but later on, she would definitely pay back double. No matter how big or small, as long as someone owes me something, I will remember it until the end. Bai Linlin is afraid because she knows that when I make a move, I will flip the world upside down and not care about anything. So, she kept quiet out of fear." However, this was the scary part about Tongning. A simple action from her caused a huge reaction. Because news quickly leaked out and Bai Linlin was punished by Tongning by standing still for 2 hours. This was a signal to the public. No matter how powerful and impressive Bai Linlin was, when she was in front of Tongning, she didn't dare to make a scene. As Bai Linlin's sister, Bai Yu, she felt extremely humiliated. Actually, the other reason why Tongning did not punish Bai Linlin was because Bai Linlin and Chen Xingyan's status were currently on the same level. Even if she did punish Bai Linlin wouldn't be convinced by Chen Xingyan. Of course, the other thing that the public was concerned about was Tongning's condition and body. Although the television station kept saying that Tongning was as beautiful as ever. No matter how beautiful she was still a mother. Since she was a mother, she should be filled with the smell of pregnancy. Chen Xingyan was truly envious of Tongning and admired her. Because no matter who Tongning was given, she was able to tame them into submission. After Zihao heard this, he held back his laughter for quite some time before he said to Chen Xingyan, "The pain that Tongning has experienced is not something you can imagine. She fell from her peak to her lowest point, and was betrayed and schemed against. When a person is in that state, it is very scary when they explode. You may never be able to reach her level. Because you will never be stimulated." Chen Xingyan thought for a moment and asked Zihao, "Will you always treat me this well?" "Of course." Zihao replied as he placed a kiss on Chen Xingyan's lips. However, he had no idea that this life would soon be broken. Chapter 738. Everyone in the industry praised the fact that Tongning had taught Bai Linlin a lesson. After all, Bai Linlin deserved to be taught a lesson because she thought she had a bit of fame. But, as soon as Bai Yu heard about the incident, her face turned red with anger as she slammed her fist on the table. Although she normally taught Bai Linlin a lesson, she was still her sister. So, what Tongning did was equivalent to a slap to her face. Because Tongning did indeed have another reason for doing this. Since Bai Yu didn't know how to teach Bai Linlin, it was time for Tongning to replace her. Someone had to teach Bai Linlin how to behave. Because of this, Bai Yu gave Bai Linlin a phone call. But Bai Linlin simply complained, "All you know how to do is cry. It's useless. Go and snatch it. You snatch whatever that Shen Yanxiao wants. Don't tell me my sister doesn't even have the ability to do that? You're useless. Sis, you have no idea how cheap Tongning is." "I know." As soon as Bai Yu heard Tongning's name, she felt her head hurt. But at the same time, her heart was filled with the desire to win. She really wanted to see it for herself. She really wanted to fight with Tongning. She wanted to know if Tongning could safely pass through the place that she had given up years ago. The place that she was afraid of falling into. How could Tongning maintain her previous fame after giving birth to a child? Late at night, Tongning and Mo Ting were each carrying a baby as they coaxed the two rascals to see who would fall asleep first. But Guagua, who was in Tongning's arms, once again had a high fever. The couple were so scared that they tossed and turned for the better part of the night. After repeatedly lowering the temperature, they finally managed to stabilize the little rascal. By this time, Tongning had already fallen asleep on the sofa. Seeing this, Emoting gently carried her out of the nursery. I fell asleep? Tongning woke up halfway through. She rubbed her eyes and wrapped her arms around Emoting's neck. Is Guoguo's fever a punishment for not staying home to take care of him last night? You're just imagining things, Emoting replied in a low voice. I've already arranged for a pediatric specialist to give him a full body checkup. Tongning nodded her head as she leaned closer to Emoting. Actually, I'm already satisfied. Look, how many men are willing to help their wives take care of their children these days? In our house, as long as you're at home, you'll take care of everything for the 2 babies. When I was young, I didn't have as many impressions of my father as I did of my second uncle. So, I don't want my children to have the impression that I'm not at home all day. Daddy Ting, you've already done well. Emoting didn't say it, but his actions were no less than her mother's. Sometimes, Tongning thought, if it wasn't for the fact that she was a woman and Emoting was a man, or if it wasn't for the fact that men could bear children, he would never have allowed these 2 babies to come out of her stomach and torture her. So her love for Emoting. In fact, he had been accumulating them from these small places. You have no way not to love such a man. Do you need me to accompany you to shoot a commercial in a few days? It's okay. You stay at home and take care of the kids. When it came to English, Tongning was much more fluent than him. Plus, when it came to filming commercials and other issues, Tongning was already an expert, so she didn't need his guidance. So Tongning didn't need a manager to be around. She simply needed an assistant to help her out. But ever since the incident with Mo Yenshu, Tongning no longer needed a permanent assistant. However, as a brother, you've neglected your responsibilities. Is it because you don't like Xingyan? After hearing this question, Emoting froze for a moment before replying. She needs to train herself. Not everyone needs to revolve around her. If she never realizes that, then, even if you give her the chance to become an international superstar, it would be useless. Fine, you're right. Tongning nodded her head in agreement. After all, this was how she had been through life. In the past, no matter how others tried to persuade her, she wouldn't listen to them. She would only give up after hitting a brick wall. It was only because of the incident with Han Yufan that she finally realized her mistakes. Go have a bath. After entering the bedroom, Emoting placed her down and patted her round tummy. Tongning hesitated for a second before wrapping her arms around Emoting's waist from behind. Have we experienced car sex? Ha. I'll continue to make it up to you. Tongning's face turned slightly red. Afterwards, Emoting turned around and carried Tongning in his arms as he sped away. Is it that urgent? What if the children wake up? After all, they were already parents. So they had to consider the children first. Tongning didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But so what if they had children? Was her life going to be like a pool of stagnant water? Even though she was already a mother of 2, she could still choose to passionately lead her own life with Emoting. After arriving at the underground parking lot, Emoting chose to drive an SUV. That was the only way they had enough space. Although they were at home, Tongning's heart raced as soon as they boarded the car. It felt like they were having an affair. If you don't think it's exciting enough, we can drive the car out. Shut up. Tongning couldn't help but seal her lips with a kiss. After Bai Linlin was taught a lesson by Tongning, Chen Xingyan's situation improved a lot. After all, Tongning represented Emoting and Emoting represented Hai Rui. As a result, Chen Xingyan let out a sigh of relief. After attending an event, she felt a lot more relaxed on her way home. But that night, when she returned to Ziheo's apartment as usual, the person waiting for her was not in Ziheo, but Yin Xian's parents. Are you here to wait for Ziheo? No, today is the anniversary of Yin Xian's death. Ziheo went to the cemetery to wait for you. Father Yin explained as he held on to Mother Yin. Oh, come on in then. Chen Xingyan opened the door and invited the 2 in. She then poured them a cup of tea, but Mother Yin did not accept it. Instead, she knocked over the cup of tea and said to Chen Xingyan, although I don't know your identity and background, I need to ask you to leave in Ziheo and leave our son-in-law. From the moment that Ziheo was willing to visit Yin Xian, I can tell that he only has Yin Xian in his heart. There's no way he would like you. If you know what's good for you, you should leave on your own to avoid embarrassment. Mother Yun's words were harsh. This was the first time Chen Xingyan had encountered a situation like this. After all, this was her first love. She didn't know how to deal with it. In other words, she didn't know what to do. I think I should give Zihao a phone call. What phone call? Mother Yun snatched Chen Xingyan's phone away and threw it on the floor, shattering it into pieces. Chapter 739. We specifically came here to look for you. There's no need to let Zihao know. Chen Xingyan looked at the shattered phone on the floor, and at the domineering old man in front of her. Her hands trembled in anger. Father Yun noticed that Chen Xingyan was on the verge of exploding, so he quickly pulled Mother Yun behind him and said, "If you have a temper, then come at me. Don't hit my wife. Plus, you are indeed not good enough for our son-in-law. It's not that we don't want him to get married. Look, what a righteous pair of parents." Chen Xingyan's eyes turned red as tears of anger began to well up in her eyes. Suddenly, she remembered what Tongning had said to her. If she didn't want to be bullied, she should turn the world upside down. There was no need to hold back. So, Chen Xingyan gave Father Yun a shove and said, "Don't think that I'm too afraid to hit you. You are the ones that have no respect. Plus, don't try to attack me by saying I'm not good enough for you. Let me tell you, I am Mo Ting's sister. In terms of background, Yin Xian doesn't even deserve to carry my shoes. Also, don't pretend to faint or be weak in front of me. If you dare to do this, I will immediately jump from the 3rd floor and call the police to tell them that you forced me to commit suicide." Father Yun was stunned as Mother Yun stared at Chen Xingyan with wide eyes. They had never experienced a situation like this before. They had never met someone more ruthless than them. Chen Xingyan used all her might like she was ready to throw caution to the wind. This, of course, was enough to shock the two old men, especially Mother Yin. She had originally prepared a method to make Chen Xingyan faint, but it suddenly became useless. All she could do was stutter and repeat one word. You. Are you trying to say that I'm shameless?" Chen Xingyan finally gained control of the situation as she sneered at the two old men. "Although this may sound bad, when it comes to shamelessness, I am still far from being shameless. And Zihao and I are a couple. I am his girlfriend and I have my own identity. Who are the two of you to him? You are not related to him. He has supported the two of you for so many years out of morality. Yet, you have the audacity to force him to break up with his girlfriend? You are like a farmer and a snake, biting the hand that feeds you. Yun. Don't tell me he caused Yin Xian's death. You guys are well aware of how Yin Xian died. If it were anyone else, they would have thanked the heavens and thanked the heavens that they still had food to eat. But the two of you, do you really think that you are in Zihao's biological parents? Honey, I can't. My head is dizzy." After hearing Chen Xingyan's words, Mother Yin held onto her forehead as her body swayed. At this time, Chen Xingyan displayed her shameless side as she walked over to the window and pushed it open. "If you dare to blackmail me, I'll jump down from here right now. There are so many witnesses outside. Let's see how you explain yourself then. Anyway, I'm a celebrity and I have a lot of attention. Let's see if my brother will let you off." Seeing that Chen Xingyan was serious, Father Yun did not dare to provoke her any further. He quickly carried Mother Yun on his back, turned around, and drove her straight to the hospital. Chen Xingyan could tell that Mother Yun was acting up at the last moment, but she couldn't be soft-hearted at a time like this and let the two old geezers know her weakness. So, she forced herself to stand by the window. She refused to believe that the two old geezers would be so shameless. As expected, she forced them to retreat. But as she looked at the empty living room, Chen Xingyan suddenly felt tired. So she immediately gave Tongning a phone call. "Ningjia, can I stay at Hyatt Regency for a few days? I want to spend some time with my nephews." Hearing Chen Xingyan's tone, Tongning could tell that she had been wronged, so she replied, "If my sister-in-law wants to come, would I dare to stop her?" Chen Xingyan found a good place to stay, so she hailed a cab and headed straight to Hyatt Regency. Tongning couldn't wait to hear Chen Xingyan's long story, but as soon as she arrived at Hyatt Regency, Qin Xingyan did not say a word. She simply hugged Tongning and cried for a while before returning to play with the two kids like nothing had happened. After all, she and Nziheo weren't breaking up, so it wasn't right for her to casually spread news about Nziheo. Even if the other party was Tongning, she still felt it wasn't appropriate. Tongning looked at Qin Xingyan and suddenly felt that this child had matured quite a bit. At least, she now knew how to weigh the pros and cons. In reality, today wasn't the anniversary of Yin Xian's death. Father Yin had called Nziheo a few days ago and knew that he would be in a meeting late, so he decided to bring Mother Yin to Nziheo's home. But not only did he fail to chase Qin Xingyan away, he even worsened his wife's condition. He had gone for wool and come home shorn. So Father Yin was so angry that he gave Nziheo a phone call. "Nziheo, come to the hospital. Your auntie can't hold on much longer." At the time, Nziheo was in the middle of a meeting. After receiving the phone call and receiving Director Chen Feng's understanding, he finally left. But as he rushed to the hospital in a panic, he found the old couple sitting together talking. It wasn't an emergency at all. Nziheo took a deep breath to calm the anger in his chest. He then asked Father Yin, "What's wrong with Auntie?" "Nziheo, you came at the right time. Today, your auntie and I went to your house with good intentions. But your little girlfriend scolded us for being shameless and called us the farmer and the snake. She even made your auntie faint from anger. She's not that kind of person." And Nziheo replied, "Nziheo, it's been so many years. Don't tell me you don't trust me and trust a woman that you've only dated for a short period of time? You've disappointed me. Uncle, take care of Auntie for now. I'm going to go home and have a look." And Nziheo turned to leave, but the man stopped him. "Nziheo, I beg of you, uncle, do you know how important my meeting tonight is? Don't always think that the entire world revolves around the two of you. I was so worried about Auntie. In the end, you lied to me." After speaking, Nziheo left the hospital without looking back and sped back to his apartment. But the lights were off in the apartment. Qin Xingyan wasn't home, and she didn't have anything to do that night. He then looked at the mess on the floor and Qin Xingyan's broken phone. His heart felt like it had been crushed. It was extremely painful. She doesn't have many places to go. After mumbling to himself, Nziheo gave Tongning a phone call. "Xingyan is at your place, right? She cried a lot and is now asleep." Tongning replied honestly, "I'm sorry. I'm not the one you should be sorry about. How did you provoke her? Show her an attitude. This is what women want. Don't say things like there's nothing going on between the two of you. Who would believe you?" Chapter 740. "I understand." Nziheo replied in a deep voice. To be exact, not only did he understand, his mind was extremely clear at this moment. He was well aware of Qin Xingyan's identity and position in his heart. After all, Yin Xian was a thing of the past. He couldn't and wouldn't allow his girlfriend to suffer for the sake of two unrelated people. So even though it was already late at night, Nziheo still went to look for a phone store that was still open and helped Qin Xingyan apply for a new phone card. He then delivered it to Qin Xingyan that very night, even though he asked Tongning not to wake her up. Tongning received the phone and shook her head helplessly, but she still decided to help her friend out. It was best not to get involved in other people's relationships, even if you thought it was for their own good. Besides, not everyone was like Mo Ting. Even if he disregarded his own family, he still wanted to protect her. But she believed that Nziheo had already tried his best. Just this once. "I don't care how you angered Xingyan. I hope it won't happen again." "Don't worry." Nziheo seemed to have made up his mind. As he left, his eyes were filled with determination. However, that night he was going to have to rack his brains. He was afraid that Qin Xingyan would give up, and he was afraid that he would make the wrong decision. But there were some steps that, if he didn't take them, they would never come to fruition. If that happened, Qin Xingyan would be hurt like a bottomless pit. He was not going to allow this to happen. In reality, that night, Qin Xingyan was also tormenting herself. Ever since the couple got together, they had spent most of their time together in a sweet relationship. It was rare for them to have conflicts like this. But as soon as they did, It hurt her heart. It was a painful feeling. So Chen Xingyan cried for the better part of the night before falling asleep. Of course, as an expert at analyzing people, Tongning knew that Chen Xingyan wouldn't be able to sleep well in the first half of the night, so she did not put her phone in the bedside table. It was only when she woke up to feed the babies that she placed the phone on top of Chen Xingyan's bedside table. Looking at Chen Xingyan's sleeping face, Tongning couldn't help but shake her head. "You're crying so badly." Her eyes were swollen like walnuts. However, this was how a woman should express her emotions. Love could help a person grow up quickly. So even though Tongning felt her heart ache, she had no intention of interfering. Not long after, the sky brightened. Chen Xingyan drowsily sat up from the bed. Sitting on the bedside table was a phone that looked exactly the same as the one she was using. That's right. It was exactly the same. Chen Xingyan rushed out of the room with her hair in a mess. Seeing Tongning preparing breakfast, she immediately asked, "Ningjia, where did you get this phone?" "Someone delivered it last night," Tongning replied casually. Did he leave without saying anything?" "He told me not to disturb your sleep and to let you have a good rest," Tongning said as she walked out of the kitchen with Mo Ting's breakfast. However, Chen Xingyan's heart raced like a drum. Last night, she was clearly in a desperate mood, but because of Nziheo's actions, the rain suddenly cleared up. Love. In fact, it was such an unreasonable thing. No one could say that there was a rule and a reason for it. "Are you sure you want to attend the show looking like this? Your assistant has been waiting for you outside for a while." A moment later, Tongning returned to the kitchen and pointed to the guests sitting in the living room. Chen Xingyan turned around and saw Xiaoqi. She quickly returned to her room and tidied herself up before she approached Xiaoqi and said, "Let's go." "You're not eating breakfast?" Tongning asked as she crossed her arms. "Nope. How could she possibly eat?" However, Nziheo was well aware that Tongning didn't like to eat breakfast, so he instructed Xiaoqi to bring her breakfast. After they boarded the van, Xiaoqi finally handed the breakfast to her. "Mr. N bought this." As soon as Chen Xingyan saw the breakfast, her eyes turned red. She had run out like this last night. In reality, it wasn't Nziheo's fault. Plus, she had thought about a lot over the course of one night. She relied on Nziheo so much. But what if one day he decided to leave? When that time came, would she not even know how to stand? "Miss Chen, do you want to go home first or head to the venue first?" "Let's head straight to the venue," Chen Xingyan replied. Nziheo had done so much for her because he hoped that she would improve. She couldn't let him down all the time. Xiaoqi was a little surprised, but she obeyed Chen Xingyan's wishes and headed to the venue with her. She did not contact Nziheo immediately, because she still needed to reflect on herself. Of course, Nziheo was not in a rush to contact her either. He was aware of Chen Xingyan's activities and knew where she was at the moment. In order to give her a surprise that night, Nziheo resisted the urge to ask Chen Xingyan how she was doing today, nor did he remind her to behave. After an entire day of activities, Chen Xingyan worked harder than ever. By the time she finished her activities, the time on her watch showed that it was already 9 p.m. "Should I take you home?" Xiaoqi asked. Chen Xingyan was a little tired, but in the end, she nodded her head. She still had to face things that needed to be faced, and she had a lot to say to Nziheo. It didn't take long before the van arrived downstairs. Chen Xingyan did not ask Xiaoqi to follow her upstairs. Instead, she opened the door on her own. She originally thought that Nziheo wasn't home yet, but she found him sitting in the living room with father and mother Yin. The scene was both ironic and harmonious. It was like they were a family and she was an outsider. With this thought, Chen Xingyan turned to leave. But Nziheo suddenly said to her, "Come here." Chen Xingyan froze for a few seconds. But under Nziheo's comforting gaze, she still walked over and sat down beside him. This time, the expressions on father and mother Yun's faces turned even uglier as they questioned Nziheo. "What do you mean by this? Did you call us here just to watch the two of you being lovey-dovey? Back when you first got together with Yun Xian, you promised her that you would never fall in love with another woman." "Auntie, you need to have a reason for your words," Nziheo refuted. Yin Xian is no longer around. Of course you can deny it. When it comes to me, what I've said is what I've said and what I haven't said is what I've said. I'm sure my girlfriend trusts me. And Zihao said before he turned and looked at Chen Xingyan. Am I right? Chen Xingyan nodded her head. Look. That's enough, let's not beat around the bush. Just tell us why you called us here. Chapter 741. And Zihao wrapped his arm around Chen Xingyan's shoulder and scanned the house. He then placed the keys on the glass coffee table and said calmly, This house is currently my most valuable possession. I'm giving it to you. Whether you live here or sell it, it's not a bad choice. Father Yin and Mother Yin were a little surprised. They looked at each other and asked Zihao, You're giving the house to us? Did you think that we only care about your money? Zihao, now that you've found yourself a rich heiress, are you going to forget about the promise you made to Yin Xian? Mother Yin began to sob. Yin Xian is already dead. Do you want me to hold on to her ashes for the rest of my life? And Zihao's voice suddenly turned cold. Don't tell me you're not my biological parents and have no right to interfere. Even if you had the right, this is my life. You've already gotten what you want. Don't tell me you still think that's not enough? Zihao, don't speak like that. I've already spoken politely enough. I'm sure you know exactly what you've taken from me over the years. It's one thing for you to use it for yourself, but you've given it all to your newly married son. He should be the one providing for you, not me. I will try my best to vacate the house. From now on, I hope you two can let me go. In reality, Zihao was well aware that the two elders had been like vampires for a long time. In the past, he didn't hold it against them because he thought they had a bottom line. But now that they had hurt Chen Xingyan, he couldn't tolerate it anymore. Aren't you going to support us when we're old? I wasn't born to you. And Zihao replied in a deep voice. Auntie, you need to know how to restrain yourself. After hearing Zihao's words, Chen Xingyan finally understood what benefits were involved. It turned out the Yin family's son also relied on Zihao to survive. Their son didn't rely on others, but instead stuck to Zihao because he was once their daughter's boyfriend. Chen Xingyan knew that Zihao valued relationships and knew that this was his bottom line. But Chen Xingyan didn't want him to suffer any more losses. So she directly said to the two elders, Since the two elders don't care about something as superficial as a house, then I want this house. Hearing Chen Xingyan's words, the trio were stunned. Mother Yin asked angrily, He already gave it to us. Why should he give it to you? Who are you to him? Chen Xingyan immediately retorted, His money didn't fall from the sky, he worked hard to earn it. Why should he give it to you for free? I don't care, I want this house. You, Zihao, you said that this house is for us. Are you going to go back on your word? Of course, Mother Yin couldn't compare to Chen Xingyan's shamelessness, so she turned her attention back to Zihao. I'll go back on my word. Anyway, the paperwork hasn't been completed yet. Are you going to bite me? If not for the fact that you are Yin Xian's parents, I would have kicked you a long time ago. Do you think you have the right to speak here? Xingyan. And Zihao, let me tell you, no matter how much enmity you have with Yin Xian, or how much hatred you have towards her, you have already paid her back after so many years of hard work. If you truly love someone, you need to make them feel grateful. Right now, I want to ask these two easygoing people to get out of this house. Nothing in this house has anything to do with you. Chen Xingyan said as she pointed to the front of the house. Mother Yin trembled in anger, but there was nothing she could do to Chen Xingyan. She originally wanted to pretend to faint again, but Chen Xingyan was one step ahead of her as she said to Zihao, Zihao, give my brother a phone call. I have a headache. I'm not sure if it's because I haven't recovered from my previous injury. Tell my brother that someone has angered me and that he can handle it. Although Father Yin and Mother Yin didn't know him, they had heard of his name a long time ago. As soon as Chen Xingyan put on an act, the two elders immediately lost their temper. Their faces alternated between green and white. They had no idea what to do. Zihao, my head really hurts. Take me to the hospital. Seeing Chen Xingyan's pale face, Zihao thought she was really feeling unwell, so he quickly pulled out his phone to call the hospital. Because of Nziheo's actions, Father Yun and Mother Yun were shocked. The two elders no longer dared to mention the house, as they quickly turned and left. Even Lanxi, who schemed against Yun Xian, had fallen into the hands of Hai Rui's Tongning, let alone the two elders. As she watched the two elders leave, Chen Xingyan suddenly burst into laughter. She lay on the sofa and laughed so hard that tears rolled down her cheeks. Seeing this, Nziheo took a deep breath and pulled Chen Xingyan into his embrace. "You scared me to death. How dare you act shamelessly with me? I finished my apprenticeship when I was 7. After Chen Xingyan finished laughing, she told Nziheo about what happened the day before. "Why do you keep these two shameless old geezers around? In the past, I felt guilty for killing Yun Xian. But as time went by, I began to develop some feelings for them." "I can't believe you actually developed feelings for these two people." Chen Xingyan shook her head as she stood up from Nziheo's embrace. Chen Xingyan shook her head and stood up from Nziheo's embrace. "From now on, if you see those two pieces of trash, don't hold back. I never imagined that those two old geezers would suck your blood to feed their offspring. I really want to curse at them." Nziheo once again hugged Chen Xingyan in his arms. At this moment, he finally felt at ease. Chen Xingyan had not given up on him, and had not been scared away by the bad news. It won't happen again. It's best if it doesn't happen again. If you continue to be a good person, I will. As long as you don't leave me, you can do whatever you want. Nziheo replied. Why would I leave you? It's not your fault. Chen Xingyan hugged Nziheo back. Luckily, she had Tongning by her side to teach her the meaning of perseverance. Otherwise, she would have given up on this tiring relationship a long time ago. From now on, I will take care of your assets. Those scumbags can forget about taking a single cent from you. Whatever you say. Last night, I was so upset. I know. Nziheo gently pushed Chen Xingyan away and placed a kiss on her forehead before moving on to her lips. This is the last time. I won't hurt your heart for the sake of someone else. You need to do what you say. Otherwise, I will definitely leave you. After speaking, Chen Xingyan took the initiative to kiss him. The couple suddenly became intense, like they had used up all their emotions. It wasn't until Nziheo's hand uncontrollably placed on top of Chen Xingyan's chest that the couple stopped in shock. No. Not yet. Chapter 742. Chen Xingyan did not say a word as she lay on Nziheo's chest to calm herself down. Then, when can I? At least not right now. After speaking, Nziheo patted Chen Xingyan on the back and gestured for her to get up. I'm going to go have a shower. Is it really okay to endure it like this? Chen Xingyan giggled as she watched Nziheo lose control. So stop seducing me, okay? After speaking, Nziheo immediately headed into the bathroom and drenched himself from head to toe with cold water. However, for a long time, his mind was filled with the feeling of touching Chen Xingyan's soft body. It was so good that his self-control almost collapsed. Perhaps it was because of this emotional crisis that Chen Xingyan suddenly had a lot of emotions in her life. That night, Nziheo lay in bed and was about to go to sleep. But Chen Xingyan suddenly appeared in front of his door with a pillow. Can I sleep with you? Nziheo froze for a moment. Just as he was about to speak, Chen Xingyan beat him to it. I swear, I won't do anything reckless. Nziheo stared at Chen Xingyan for a long time. In the end, he couldn't dissuade her. I just hope you don't regret it. After speaking, he moved closer to the bed and gave her half of the bed. Chen Xingyan jumped onto the bed and pounced into Nziheo's arms. The feeling of regaining what she had lost made her swear to herself that she would never argue with Nziheo again. Nziheo gently stroked Chen Xingyan's hair. At this moment, there was only intimacy between the couple and no other desires. They hugged each other tightly until they fell asleep. The next morning, before the sun had even risen, Tongning gave Nziheo a phone call while she was feeding her babies. Have you comforted her? Aha. Nziheo replied as he looked at the sleeping woman in his arms. Are you sleeping together? It's not what you think. Nziheo quickly explained. I didn't. Hearing this, Tongning couldn't help but laugh. I never expected you to be so conservative. I'm sure Xingyan wants to eat you up. She's still young. I'm just concerned. Go back to sleep, Tongning said with a deeper meaning. Tongning said with a deeper meaning before hanging up the phone. However, to her surprise, a tall figure suddenly appeared behind her and hugged her from behind. Lately you've been making phone calls when I'm not around, huh? Mo Ting hugged the mother and son. His voice was deep, seductive and dangerous. It's symbolic. You need to pretend that you don't know about Zihao and Xingyan. Tongning laughed. Don't tell me you're jealous. In the future, when you're breastfeeding, call me along. I'll hold you so you won't feel so uncomfortable. It's not like you can help. Plus, Hairue has so many things to deal with. I don't want you to not get enough sleep. After feeding the babies, Tongning put down Tang Tang and wrapped her arms around Mo Ting's waist. I can do it this way. Actually, with you around, I am already relaxed. I just need to wake up a little earlier. I'm a man. Are you afraid that I won't get enough sleep? Plus, I am your husband and the baby's father. Taking care of you two is my biggest responsibility. Tongning did not say a word. She simply moved a little closer to Mo Ting's neck. Don't worry, go ahead and film the commercial. Even if you aren't home, I can take good care of the two rascals. Tongning had never doubted this. Mo Ting had long become an expert at taking care of children. As soon as the two rascals stretched out their hands, he would know what they wanted. Okay, with you around, I don't need to worry. So, the next morning, Fang Yu was called into the CEO's office because Mo Ting had something to tell him. I won't be coming to the office tomorrow. If there's anything, you can handle it. Did something happen to Tongning? Mo Ting glanced at him and replied casually, stay home to take care of the kids. Fang Yu wanted to laugh, but he didn't dare to. After all, it was rare for Mo Ting to be absent from work, let alone take care of the kids. This was obviously something that a nanny could do. But Mo Ting and Tongning were two busy people, so they never let others do it. No wonder everyone in the office was starting to refer to him as Nanny Ting. Don't worry, I will take care of everything. Of course, compared to being a father, Fang Yu admitted that he had lost to Mo Ting. After all, he was often absent when Xiao Yu was growing up. Even though things were a little better now that he had Hu Jingjing, there was no way he could make up for the lost memories for Xiao Yu. In that case, do we need to assign an assistant to Tongning? Fang Yu asked with concern. He had already guessed that since Mo Ting was going home to take care of the kids, Tongning must have gone out to work. Lu Che will go with her. I don't trust anyone else for now. Understood. Tongning was finally going to return to work. Although the industry was never lacking in celebrities, watching Tongning make her way to the top was a very satisfying feeling. She was a rare actress, so she couldn't be buried like this. Even if Mo Ting was willing, no one else would agree. Filming a commercial. It had been a long time since Tongning had a new project. This time, she was going to use her own abilities to conquer the entire entertainment industry. Meanwhile, after Father Yun and Mother Yun left, and Zihao thought he would finally have some peace. But to his surprise, Yun Xian's brother came knocking on his door. How did you find this place? And Zihao leaned against the door. He had no intention of letting Yun Xian's brother in. Mom and Dad told me. I heard you don't plan on taking care of them anymore. Yun Xian's brother looked at Zihao in disbelief. What? Are you planning to forget about my sister because you found a new lover? Let me tell you, there's no way. If you give up halfway through taking care of them, what do you expect me to do? I just got married not long ago. How am I supposed to take care of my family? Did you break your arms and legs? You shouldn't be asking me how your family is going to live. And Zihao replied firmly. No way, how could you be so heartless? Brother Yun sneered as he peeked through the crack in the door. I heard you originally wanted to give this house to my parents, but then changed your mind. I've never seen someone as untrustworthy as you. Tell me your motive. You don't need to give me a long explanation. As long as you give me the house, I won't cause any more trouble, Brother Yun said sloppily. Why don't I drop by once a day and say hello to your new girlfriend while I'm at it? It seemed he had no idea that Chun Xingyan had been practicing martial arts since she was young. So as soon as Chun Xingyan opened the door and saw the person, Brother Yun whistled at her. "Not bad, you're so pretty." Chun Xingyan looked angry as she asked in Zihao, "And who is this?" "Yin Xian's brother." "Can I make a move?" Chapter 743. And Zihao gestured with his eyes that he could. Little brother Yun had no idea that Chun Xingyan was a martial artist, so he laughed. "I especially like being touched by beautiful women." Bang! All that was heard was a loud thud. Chun Xingyan's kick had sent brother Yun flying down the stairs. Afterwards, Chun Xingyan jumped down the stairs and began to beat brother Yun up viciously in places where he couldn't see any injuries. Only after she felt better did she stand up straight and warn, "If you dare to come here again, I will beat you up every time I see you." Little brother Yun had no idea that Chun Xingyan was so good at martial arts. At this moment, he was lying on the floor moaning in pain. He didn't even have the strength to stand up. This entire family is shameless." After speaking, Chun Xingyan returned to Zihao's side. The couple entered the apartment one after another, and closed the door behind them. "This won't do. To prevent this family from causing trouble again, I think we should think of a way to solve this once and for all." How could Chun Xingyan tolerate the Yun family visiting her every few days? Not only were she and Zihao public figures, even ordinary people couldn't handle this kind of torture. Apart from Song Xian, I've never seen anyone more disgusting than this family. Seeing Chun Xingyan pacing back and forth in the living room, and Zihao pulled her into his embrace. "I'll go deal with this. From now on, I won't let this disgusting family enter your sight again." "Really?" Chun Xingyan asked doubtfully. "Really?" And Zihao nodded. "Go wash up. There's an audition in the afternoon. Bring little Seven along. Don't embarrass me." "Okay." Chun Xingyan obediently asked for a kiss before she headed into the bathroom. Meanwhile, Zihao's expression darkened. There were some things that needed to be dealt with once and for all. After Chun Xingyan and little Seven left, Zihao drove over to the hospital that Mother Yun used to stay at. As expected, little brother Yun was also staying at the hospital because of a broken rib. As soon as they saw Zihao, not only were Father Yun and Mother Yun furious, even little brother Yun's wife was furious. "You guys are bullying people. Why did you hurt my husband?" "And Zihao, how dare you show up?" Mother Yun immediately yelled. "I'm going to expose people like you to the media. You're a complete disregard for human life. You're a complete mess." Mother Yun didn't read much, so she didn't know how to use words. She was probably angry, so she didn't choose her words carefully. And Zihao let out a gentle laugh before asking Mother Yun, "What are you going to expose to the media? Are you going to tell me that I'm the one who's supporting your entire family? Or did your son ask me for money to buy a house and marry a wife?" After Father Yun and Mother Yun heard this, they couldn't help but blush. They knew that this kind of thing couldn't be said to others. At that moment, Brother Yun's wife looked at her parents-in-law in disbelief. Didn't Yunhao say that he earned this money himself? Earned it? With Yunhao's capabilities, when do you think he will be able to buy a house in Beijing? "I'm sorry, but this family gets everything from food, clothing, housing, and transportation from me. After so many years, they haven't earned a single cent. Auntie, you can go ahead and expose them. I also want to hear what the media will say." Mother Yun's expression was ugly, but she couldn't say anything. "So that's how it is. I was just wondering," the woman said with tears in her eyes. "I've decided to get a divorce with Yunhao. Of course, don't expect me to give birth to another child. What's wrong with a family? It's bad enough that they rely on someone else to survive, but they even need to raise their son. I must be extremely unlucky to have married this piece of trash. That's because he caused my daughter's death. This is what he deserves. Forget it. Don't be so shameless," the woman said as she wiped her tears away. "Not too long ago, Yunhao excitedly told me that he had found the culprit that killed his sister. What now? Are you still blaming Mr. N? Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's get a divorce." I will submit the divorce request to the court and let the judge decide what to do. I want to see if the two of you are really that shameless. After speaking, the woman grabbed her handbag and left the room. Father Yin originally wanted to chase after her, but Mother Yin held him back. It's fine if you don't know the big picture. Our son can find someone better to marry. And Ziheo, are you happy now? And Ziheo originally didn't want things to get to this point. But when faced with people like this, he realized there was no need to show mercy, so he pulled out a receipt from his pocket and asked, Auntie and Uncle, when do you plan to return these IOUs? Seeing the IOUs, the couple froze. The couple had already been taken care of by Ziheo for a long time, but there were always times when they needed money, especially when it came to buying a house for Yun Hao. The couple knew that it was a large sum of money, so it wasn't appropriate to ask for it directly. So they pretended to write IOUs because they knew Ziheo wouldn't actually ask for it. But now, I've accumulated around $10 million in debt. I happen to be in need of money recently. When will you be able to return it? Don't push us too far. Father Yun yelled angrily. I'm being polite right now. Otherwise, I would have directly handed this matter to my lawyer. And Ziheo's voice turned colder. Since you don't want the respect I've given you, then I have no choice but to follow the rules. Let's pretend I've raised a few more animals over the years. What do you want? Mother Yun trembled in anger, but there was nothing she could do. She had no intention of returning $10 million. It's simple. Take your useless son and leave Beijing. Don't ever appear in front of me again. As soon as you appear, I will immediately hand over the IOUs to my lawyer. When that time comes, don't blame me for being heartless. Isn't this all your own fault? And Ziheo glared at the couple in disdain and scoffed. Are you leaving or not? Leave. Father Yun said with all the strength he had left. And Ziheo, you win. So don't force me to be even more ruthless. After speaking, and Ziheo put away the IOUs and left the room without lifting his head. After so many years of holding him back, he had finally severed them. Even if Yin Xian found out from the heavens, he would not compromise. After all, there was only one person he wanted to protect. Chen Xingyan. At this moment, Chen Xingyan was attending an audition for The Best Ex-Girlfriend. This was a comedy film produced by the King of Comedy, director Wang. As an actress that was famous because of Mo Ting, Chen Xingyan's acting and other qualities were not well received by the director. She may not have been able to get the second or third female lead roles. But Bai Linlin was also attending the audition. Chapter 744. Bai Linlin wasn't much better, but she had a sister in Hollywood. So in terms of background, the two women were evenly matched. Little Seven gave Ziheo a phone call to explain the situation. It seemed he was afraid that Bai Linlin would bully Chen Xingyan again. And Ziheo quickly arrived at the audition. As soon as he saw Chen Xingyan holding onto the script, he strode over. What's wrong? As soon as Chen Xingyan saw Ziheo, she immediately said, Actually, I have a different idea. Your idea is to become the strongest stunt double in Beijing. Chen Xingyan took a deep breath. She knew that her sloppy image had left a deep impression in Ziheo's heart, so he wasn't used to her seriousness. But she still expressed her thoughts. I know that you asked me to audition because you wanted me to use up resources so that I could act. You didn't expect anything from me, but now, I want to have a request for myself. I've looked at the script. It turns out, you wanted me to fight for the supporting female role. But I think this tomboy cross-dressing is more suitable for me. And Ziheo looked at Chen Xingyan seriously and his lips suddenly curved up. Are you ready to become a superstar? Even if it's not for myself, I want to do it for your dream. You were once a top manager. I don't want your abilities to become useless in my hands. And Ziheo ran his hand through Chen Xingyan's hair and realized she had indeed grown up. You are indeed more suitable for the role of a tomboy. Although it doesn't look very impressive, it is the most three-dimensional and complete character in the entire script. If you act well, you may be better than the supporting female lead, or even the supporting female lead. But if you mess it up, you will simply be a small, unknown character. But we don't want to lose out. Let's treat it as giving you some experience. Okay, Chen Xingyan nodded. Bai Linlin came here for the supporting female role, but she has no idea that this supporting female role is simply to support the female lead. In reality, it's not worth as much as the other characters. You get more screen time, but that doesn't mean you like it. After hearing In Ziheo's words, Chen Xingyan laughed as she whispered beside In Ziheo's ear. According to Bai Linlin's personality, she will definitely mess it up. Bai Linlin seemed to know that the two women were talking about her, so she rolled her eyes and walked towards them. The second female lead is mine. Don't even think about it. She didn't want to. However, the thought of Bai Linlin standing in front of Tongning made him want to laugh. What are you laughing at? I was thinking about your punishment. Just you wait, when I become the second female lead, I'll teach you a lesson. Bai Linlin was hit where it hurt. She threatened Chen Xingyan and stomped away. Chen Xingyan laughed so hard that tears came out of his eyes. I heard that her sister is very powerful. She won't come looking for trouble, right? Her sister is on Tongning's side, so of course Tongning would know how to deal with her. If she were to look for you, she would be lowering her status. And Z replied with a smile. Bai Yu was indeed angry. Tongning acted like a disciplinary director, and made her sister stand in public for 2 hours. No one would feel good to hear something like this. She's just a has-been actress. Isn't she going to return to her family anyway? What's with the pretense? In reality, Bai Yu had no idea that Tongning had already entered the studio that day. She had accepted the role of the global spokesperson for luxury cosmetics. The brand had always been known for its vitality. This was also the reason why Emoting approached Tongning. Originally, the advertising agency was worried that Tongning's appearance wouldn't be attractive. But as soon as Tongning appeared in front of everyone wearing a white suit, and with her hair in a high ponytail, her beauty made it impossible for anyone to take their eyes off her. The photographer let out a sigh of relief. Seeing that Tongning's appearance was no different to when she was a model, he could tell that Tongning was a professional and knew that she would strictly manage her body. Tongning quickly conversed with the photographer in fluent English and found out what they were going to shoot that day. So, with the help of the stylist, she changed into a white sportswear. Seeing that her stomach had recovered well, the stylist couldn't help but exclaim, I can't believe you're already a mother of a baby. 2. Tongning smiled. I gave birth to twins. The stylist gave her a thumbs up. You're amazing. Throughout the entire shoot, there were a total of 7 outfits. All of them were beautiful white, especially the female outfits. Being filmed in a room filled with roses, Tongning's appearance was heaven-defyingly perfect. You're indeed a professional, the photographer praised endlessly. The photographer could not stop praising her. Tongning did not forget her job at all, especially the look in her eyes. She could be fierce, she could be wild, she could be gentle, and she could be clear. Perhaps it was because she had honed her acting skills, but when she used all of this on the commercial, even the advertising agency couldn't help but be amazed. Out of all the models she had worked with, Tongning left the deepest impression. When this commercial is released, the results will definitely be amazing. I can't wait to see it, the photographer said to the staff towards the end of the shoot. Tongning cooperated and completed the shoot. Afterwards, all she wanted to do was rush home. The advertising agency originally wanted to invite her out for dinner, but Tongning politely rejected them because she still had 2 babies at home. You're such a good mother that you don't forget to worry about the babies even when you're working, the lighting technician laughed. Because she was a good mother, she had to immediately return home to comfort her father. Tongning smiled as she bid farewell to the staff. Afterwards, Lu Che arranged for her to leave the studio. She could return to work, but she would always be worried about the 1 adult and 2 kids at home. By the time she returned home, Emoting was sound asleep with the 2 rascals. Seeing Emoting's head close to his 2 sons, Tongning felt a warm feeling surge through her heart. She and Emoting had once promised each of them that after moving into this home, they would be a simple married couple. In this home there was only them. Tongning approached the father and son trio, and placed a kiss on each of their foreheads. She then turned around and headed into the kitchen to prepare dinner for Mo Ting. A moment later, Mo Ting appeared behind her and wrapped his arm around her waist. Did your first day back at work go well? Of course. Tongning nodded her head confidently. Hai Rui received news that Bai Yu is returning to China to further her career. It's obvious that she is targeting you. When the time comes, she may cause you trouble. Is it because I was punished by her sister? Tongning scoffed. Isn't it normal for small fights in the entertainment industry? She is a smart woman. When necessary, she is willing to sacrifice the most important people in her life. The two of you are on the same path, but when it comes to a fork in the road, your choice is the opposite of hers. So, she is waiting to see the result. Everything else aside, this Bai Yu is quite elegant. Tongning had to admit. She's waiting to see me make a fool of myself, isn't she? Chapter 745. In her early years of fame, Bai Yu experienced a lot of unspoken rules. So she knew how to conduct herself. In the end, she used Hai Rui as a platform to launch herself into the international film industry. Afterwards, she founded Yixing Film and Television, and worked hard with her husband in Hollywood. Of course, the important turning point for Bai Yu that Mo Ting mentioned was during her time at Hai Rui. She originally had a loving boyfriend, and they were together for many years. But for the sake of her future, she decided to abort the child and split up with her lukewarm singer boyfriend. For female celebrities, youth was a short-lived rice bowl. There was no reason to retreat to a family right after starting out. So Bai Yu did not hesitate at all. After her ex-boyfriend found out, he almost broke down. But he still maintained his rationality and let her go. Perhaps he wanted Bai Yu to regret, so her stubborn ex-boyfriend suddenly realized reality and used his connections to climb his way up the ranks. He was now a publicly acknowledged coach in the music industry. It could be said that Bai Yu and Tongning's paths were very similar. So, if Bai Yu was in Tongning's shoes, she wouldn't have become an actress while she was a supermodel, nor would she have a child while she was at the peak of her popularity. Was she crazy? How many people wanted to be famous on this path? Why didn't Tongning cherish the opportunities she had? Bai Yu hated Tongning because she had sacrificed so much to get to where she was today. Yet, Tongning insisted on proving that her choice was wrong. As Tongning returned to work, the cast of Concubine Ning, which she had been preparing for the past few months, naturally began to move forward. Although Tongning was always mentioned as the female lead, it was never officially announced. Because of this, Zihao once again came looking for Tongning. Are you ready to enter the set? For such a long palace drama, once she entered the set, it would definitely take anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Although Tongning really liked the story. Let me think about it, Tongning replied. If she was to be away from her baby for so long, it was indeed a worry. You can return home every day and don't have to worry about not seeing your child. And Zihao tried to tempt her. And Zihao tried to coax her. There are a few other actresses who are also in contact with the crew. If you don't make a decision soon, there's a good chance someone else will cut you off. In that case, let them take the lead. Tongning smiled. Do you think there's anyone more suitable than you for this role? The contract was already in front of you, but you refused to sign it. It wasn't that Tongning wasn't tempted by a script that challenged her acting skills. Plus, she had never tried wearing an ancient costume before. But she had her concerns. You have to give me an answer by tomorrow morning. And Zihao was getting impatient. This book had been prepared for far too long. Even if it was delayed for another day, it would be a waste. Aha! Tongning nodded her head. Didn't you say you wanted Xingyan to play one of the roles? What about now? She has other ideas. And Zihao revealed a rare look of relief. Chun Xingyan now had the ability to consider a lot of things on her own. Whether it was suitable or not, she would take the initiative to bring it up. And Zihao finally saw the potential of a superstar in her. Tongning really wanted to challenge Concubine Ning. But as she looked at the sleeping faces of her babies, she decided against it. There would be more good scripts, but once the time to accompany the baby was over, it would never return. Mo Ting seemed to have seen through Tongning's doubts, so as her manager, he gave the production crew a reply. Tongning had agreed to join Concubine Ning, and they could officially announce it. Of course, the babies need to spend time with them, but you also need to fulfill your dreams. I've already spoken to the production crew. You can go home every day, and no one will compete with you to accompany the babies at night. During the day, let the two mothers take care of the naughty babies. As Bai Lihua couldn't take care of two babies on her own, Xia Yuling handed over the Tang family business to Tang Jingxian, and retired with the intention of helping Bai Lihua take care of Tongning and Mo Ting's babies. Her grandmother was a biological researcher, and her maternal grandmother was a famous businesswoman. Plus, both of them were born into socialites. So when it came to their education, they had no worries. Tongning looked deeply into Mo Ting's eyes. She knew this was the person that understood her the most, so she stopped struggling and nodded her head. Just because you don't have 24/7 company doesn't mean you aren't a good mother. Don't feel guilty. When I have time, I will bring them to visit you on set. Mo Ting would always remember how, when Tongning was just one step away from becoming an international supermodel, she had to learn acting from scratch for the sake of stupid. At a time like this, the support and companionship of a lover was the greatest affirmation. Okay, Daddy Ting. Originally, Tongning's role in Concubine Ning was going to be a success. The production team had already made preparations to announce it to the public. As the entire drama was of high quality, the male lead was not a popular male idol, but someone with solid acting skills. However, what they didn't expect was, overnight, the producers of Concubine Ning suddenly changed their mind. Originally, Tongning was going to play two roles on her own, but in the end, they decided to add in another actress and let her play one of the roles. The plot of Concubine Ning had already been mentioned before. It was the story of a concubine that caused chaos and was beheaded. But the turning point of the story was that the concubine did not come back to life. Instead, she changed from her usual self and became the virtuous concubine that everyone praised. Afterwards, the sisters began to fight each other for the identity of the concubine. According to the producers, the new plot would also include a fight between the two sisters. The tone of the script had suddenly changed. The originally well-developed plot suddenly turned into a melodramatic Mary Sue. So Zihao delivered a new script to Tongning. Tongning glanced at it and threw it to one side. Regardless of whether I'm the female lead or not, there's only one role left. Plus, I don't want to act in a melodramatic drama like this. This drama has been defined as having two female leads. Do you know who the other female lead is? Zihao looked at her with interest. Baiyu's reputation has always been there. Plus, she's bringing money into the cast. So the producers naturally felt that this was the icing on the cake. After all, Baiyu is publicly acknowledged as a skilled actress. So with her around, the quality of the drama will not be affected. As expected, they're targeting me, Tongning laughed. Tongning, because the script is complete and the post-production is very good, no matter who acts in this drama, the results won't be too bad. Of course, it's even better if there's a skilled actress. If you refuse to act in this drama, then once it becomes popular, the public will inevitably be jealous. I thought you were afraid of Baiyu. I'm not acting, Tongning said decisively. You know me. When I accept a script, the person I work with is secondary. The script is the most important thing. Do you think you can convince yourself with a script like this? Chapter 746. Good scripts always have to wait. I'm not afraid of waiting, Tongning said as she pushed the script back towards Zihao. Sorry, Zihao. Zihao froze for a moment before he smiled. This is actually more like you. More like the Tongning I know. Okay, I respect your decision. This drama is indeed going to be a hit, but I've always believed that a good production isn't enough. The most important thing is the story itself. If the screenwriter isn't unscrupulous, then it will eventually become a classic. It shouldn't be popular for a moment and then forgotten. This was something that Tongning understood better than anyone. A little while later, Bai received news that Tang Ning had rejected the role. She was quite confused. In China, a production like Concubine Ning was already considered to have a conscience and was obviously going to be a hit. Yet she rejected it. Was it because the female lead role had been snatched away? Bai's lips curved upwards coldly. Wasn't it common for someone to be snatched away in the industry? How could Tang Ning be so impatient? She really wanted to know what was going on in this woman's head. Was she made of bean dregs? But regardless of the reason why Tang Ning rejected Concubine Ning, Bai found an opportunity to create a hot topic. As a result, the following news emerged: frowny face international superstar Bai announces comeback. Tang Ning replaced as female lead. Concubine Ning announces replacement of Bai. Tang Ning has no fate with female lead. All sorts of news began to spread. All in all, the crew of Concubine Ning had originally decided on Tang Ning as the female lead. But in the end it was snatched away by Bai. Everyone began to guess the reason. Tang Ning had just given birth, so her figure and aura had not recovered yet. On top of that, Bai's international fame couldn't be underestimated, and her acting was superb. In the end, the crew decided to use Bai instead of Tang Ning, because it was more cost-effective. Tang Ning has always been the one stealing others' roles. Now someone has finally stolen her role. How satisfying. In terms of experience, Tang Ning is still a long way from Bai. So, it's understandable that the producers decided to replace her. Bai used to be my goddess. I never expected that she would make a comeback. I'm really looking forward to it. Bai has so many iconic roles. Back then, who knows where Tang Ning was? Of course, some of Tang Ning's fans retorted. What belongs to me, Ning, can never be snatched away, unless I, Ning, don't want it. Don't make Bai sound so sacred and inviolable. When it comes to acting, my Ning doesn't lose to her. How dare you say that, Bai? Back then, all the characters she created were idiotic. What's there to brag about? I'd rather not bother those people who don't even want their children to worry about me. Regardless of the truth, based on the intensity of the fan war, it was obvious that Concubine Ning had completely exploded in popularity. At a time like this, Tang Ning couldn't step out and speak up for herself. If she said that she was forced out, it would be the same as admitting that she wasn't as good as Bai. If she said that she gave up on her own accord, after the drama exploded, people would say that she was a slap in the face and a fool for giving up on such a good role. Therefore, she could not make a sound at all. Of course, she had another excuse. She wanted to take care of the babies. But Tang Ning couldn't possibly use the babies as a shield. Things were as they were, and she didn't need to explain herself. But she would never do anything that crossed her bottom line. Even though Long Jie was pregnant, she was worried for Tang Ning. Look at how aggressive this woman is. Don't tell me she's trying to steal your role? Are you going to let her go? No, it's just that I don't like the script. It's changed too much, Tang Ning replied. If the script was still the same, she wouldn't have let it go so easily. In that case, what are you going to do next? You're in an awkward situation right now and everyone is making wild guesses. Wait. Without a good script, all she could do was wait. I can't stand the fact that someone is bullying you. Bullying? Not really. On the other hand, Tang Ning felt like she was constantly bullying Bai. After all, her two babies were the source of her confidence. Tang Ning simply said that she wasn't going to act, but Mo Ting followed Hai Rui's procedures and filed a lawsuit against the production crew. Firstly, when they signed the contract, they agreed that Tang Ning would be the female lead. But in the end there were two female leads. Secondly, Hai Rui had previously agreed with the production crew that the script could not be changed. Yet not only did Concubine Ning change, it was a huge change. This went against the spirit of the contract. Of course, the production crew of Concubine Ning had a strong backing. Since Hai Rui requested compensation, they simply had to pay the penalty. But the production crew of Concubine Ning also announced that from now on, they would no longer consider their artist, Tang Ning. The matter was blown out of proportion, and director Chun Feng was a man of character. So in the end he resigned from his position as executive director and left Concubine Ning within Zihao. In other words, the production crew was about to undergo a huge change. In the end, Director Chen Feng said something that was inconvenient for Hai Rui to say. As the former executive director of Concubine Ning, I would like to say a few things. Firstly, before Concubine Ning started filming, Tang Ning had already signed a contract with the assistant director to communicate with her until the script was changed. Secondly, the first thing that Tang Ning cared about was not who she was going to work with, but the changes to the script. She felt that Concubine Ning had lost its original quality, so she rejected the role. It has nothing to do with the two female leads. Tang Ning is a qualified actress, so she rejected the role. At the same time, I have decided to continue being a qualified director, so I have decided to withdraw from Concubine Ning. As soon as this announcement was made, it immediately caused an uproar. The public immediately discovered the reason why Tang Ning rejected the role. It turned out, she felt that the script had lost its original quality. But Director Chen Feng's words not only slapped the crew of Concubine Ning in the face, it also made Baiyu's fans turn red in embarrassment. This was a rotten script that Tang Ning didn't want. Yet, the mistress treated it like a treasure and flaunted it around. Indeed, this script was going to be a huge hit. But it had nothing to do with the word good. Tang Ning has always chosen a script with depth, and President Mo is always by her side. She only accepts good dramas. Just look at the films that she has acted in and you can tell. She wants to be an actress seriously. This is something that no one can deny. I really hope that Tang Ning will accept a drama and compete on the same stage as Concubine Ning. That would definitely be fun. But where are we supposed to find a drama that has a bigger production than Concubine Ning? It's impossible. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.